Here's how to attract women as a man in your 20s. This is my full guide. So first of all, why should you listen to me? I went from awkward as fuck to having no problems attracting women in just a few years. Like you can literally tell by this picture here that I would have struggled. I didn't even know how to style my hair. I had literally no attraction from girls, or at least none that I could see. I think there was like, a few girls that thought I was kind of cute, but I had such bad self-image that I couldn't even witness that myself or believe it myself. To now, I feel like I have a totally abundant dating life. I have no problem at all attracting women. In fact, I go through periods where like I have too many women and it's too much of a distraction, and I want to get you to this point. So the promise, if you follow the guide today, is I'll teach you how to attract women faster than you were by you just like learning by yourself or going out into the world and just seeing what works. So here's my quick introduction in cases you don't know me already. My name is Hamza, and I help men attract so many girls that you realize it wasn't what you wanted in the first place, and you just wanted to heal the void left by the inconsistent love your parents showed you when you were a child. So if that sounds like you, me and you can probably relate to each other, and you can subscribe right now if you want. So here's the 3 steps that we're going to cover today to attracting good women in your 20s. Become more desirable. That's step 1. Step 2 is finding the women, like where are girls these days that you can go and speak to? How could you attract them? What platforms you should use and the best way to use those platforms. And then step 3, compatibility, finding the women who are actually compatible with you. So you're not just looking for any girl, which many guys are doing. And honestly, it's pathetic, but also it's not even that fun to be with a girl who's not compatible with you. Like you're a guy who's on self-improvement, watching these autistically detailed videos. You're a guy who's educating yourself, and you go and find girls who are basically like brain dead, and you're like, yeah, at least I'm getting some pussy. I'm going to help you find girls who actually like you'd be able to talk to about serious things, deep things, and you'll have really intellectual conversations. And usually when you have that, the sex life with a girl like that is actually better as well. So it's a win-win-win. Here's my quick plug as well. I have a seduction program that you're probably going to be interested in. You don't need to go there just yet. If I really wow you in today's presentation and you think, wow, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. I wonder what else he can teach me. I wonder if he can get me more attractive. He can help me get more girls and everything. I have a seduction program. It's the top link in the description. It's been getting amazing results. So amazing that I'm actually so proud. We get guys coming in and posting that they've been getting multiple girlfriends because of it. So if you're interested, that's the top link. Go click on that link in the description, and you can just leave it open and then go watch it after you finish watching this guide. Let's begin with step 1, which is becoming more desirable. How do you become more desirable? There's 4 things you can do. You can improve your physical attractiveness, so looks maxing. You can make money. You can get status, and you can learn seduction. And we'll go through each one of these in detail right now. So improve physical attractiveness. If this is the only thing you do, looks maxing, you can attract beautiful, like gorgeous women. You can attract really, really attractive women if you literally have nothing else other than you just improve your looks. And I actually believe that I've went through one of the best looks maxing transformations of all time. What would you rate me here? Be honest. What would you rate me there? Like probably like a 2 or a 3 out of 10. And around here, what would you rate me now? And you can see like on the video, this is what I genuinely look like. It's 4 a.m. so I've not done my hair or anything. But I'd say I probably went up from probably like a 3 to maybe like a 7 in just the face. And the face is the hardest part to change. When you see like my physique, if you haven't seen it already, but if you've like seen pictures of me on like Instagram or something, my body went from, like an average like 4, I wasn't obese or anything, to probably close enough to like a 10 now. Maybe even like it's went down a little bit because I've gained too much muscle, but now I'm just doing it for the sport of bodybuilding instead of like trying to just attract girls with it. But just improving my looks really helped me to a point that I can't like emphasize enough. And it's so important that you believe this, because at least a few years ago, people didn't want to acknowledge this. Like guys hated the conversation about looks maxing. They used to call me like gay and weird when I used to make videos about it. These days, most likely, if you're watching this, you know the importance of looks maxing and you're actually probably kind of into it. You know about mewing and everything. And so I'll go over the specific strategies right now of like what's the single greatest ways to looks max. The biggest way by far, with nothing that comes close to it at all. So this is literally where 90% of your attention should be put on if you want to look better, is to build an aesthetic body. When your Tinder pictures look like this, you will get 100 matches a day. If you don't believe me, I don't blame you. This was a picture, this one here on the right. I took this in Thailand. We'll be talking about Tinder soon and like this picture in particular. But I took this picture and I was like, oh fuck, I've reached like Chad status now because of the way. And the thing is, look, I'm not like ultra lean, you know, I'm fairly lean. I've got a six pack and stuff, but I'm like 12% body fat. This physique here is not unattainable for any guy watching this. This physique, like any guy who goes to the gym will tell you like, oh yeah, this physique's like, it's pretty good, but you could probably get here in like 3-4 years. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I have kind of shit genetics. This took me about 8 years to get to. So my progress was slow. I was a little bit of a pussy in the gym and everything. So you can really get here. To build an aesthetic body is the single greatest thing you can do for your looks. How do you build an aesthetic body? Well, there's a few muscles that in particular I'd suggest that you focus on, which will develop the V-taper. The V-taper is where your upper body is shaped like this, you know, where you've got like this V shape, where your shoulders and your back is wider than your waist. That's like a primarily attractive trait in a man. The same way that if we see a woman with an hourglass shape, like if we see a woman who's got tits and ass, we're primarily attracted to her. Let's be honest. There's probably girls that you've seen maybe in the gym and they've got glutes and they've even got a bit of tits as well. But their face isn't attractive. And the thing is, you're still thinking to yourself like, fuck, like I'd fuck the shit out of her. That's just a primal attraction. You could have someone, like even a guy whose face isn't attractive, but as long as you have the V-taper, there'll be like women who'll want to fuck you just because it's just a primal indicator of like strength, of manhood, testosterone. So there's a few very important muscles. Now, the abs doesn't actually really add to the V-taper. If anything, it might, like this is quite autistic, but if anything, it might actually make it worse because it kind of maybe it'd make your waist a bit chunkier. But just in general, if there's one aesthetic muscle group, if there's one attractive muscle group, it's the abs. Like that's where a lot of the focus from girls will come in. That's where you'll look quite jacked. Like imagine if I was just a few percent higher body fat here and I didn't have like the lines in between my abs. This picture would look significantly worse. Now, that being said, my abs don't look great here anyway, so you could see that I could probably take the ab training a bit more seriously. And if I did, I think both of these pictures would go up by like 1 point there. The neck is a muscle that most guys aren't training, and the simple way to train it is you get like a towel or something, put it over your forehead, lie back on a bench, grab a plate, put it on the towel on your forehead and just crunch it up slowly. It might sound ridiculous, but you can just go after this video, go search up neck training and see it's like a legit thing. I've got videos on it where I've taught it. What you don't want is the rest of your body gets bigger, but your neck stays the same size. And then it gives you this weird look where like you look like a skinny crackhead, but who's got like a jacked physique. Then it comes to the lateral delts, which is this side delt here, which goes all the way down, touching your arm. And that's what gives you a bit more of the V shape. We've got the arms. This is a huge, this is actually the single most focused muscle for a woman. So I saw a study, where do women focus on a man? And it's actually the arms and the chest. And so that's very important to improve. One tip I'll give you with improving arms is I really think an arm day in the gym is really underrated. So many guys are on push-pull legs and they're following this kind of idea that, oh yeah, you don't need to train arms directly. You can just do bench press and rows and pull-ups and they'll hit the arms. The guys who tell you that, they're not meaning to like lie to you, but they're all on steroids. Now, if you take steroids, you can do bench press and your triceps will get bigger. If you take steroids and you do pull-ups, your biceps will probably get bigger. If you're natural and you're not in the first 1 or maybe 2 years of training, if you've been training, going to the gym for a few years, you're not going to get bigger arms from not hitting them. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but like you're going to get bigger arms when you curl and you do tricep extensions and you do the actual like arm day. But don't think that you doing push-pull legs and at the end of your push session where you've done chest and you've done shoulders and you do like 3 sets for triceps, don't think that your triceps are going to grow with that. I do like 12 sets for triceps, 12 sets for bicep, and now they're growing. So that's just one tip there. The lat is like obviously this, just that bit there. And that might be actually the most important muscle here because that's really what creates that V shape. When women say that they want a guy with wide shoulders, they're not actually talking about wide shoulders. They're actually talking about a wide back that makes your shoulders more wide. So the lat is probably one of the most important muscle group here for the V taper. And the way you train that's just with like pull-ups and pull-downs and rows. And then the upper chest is very aesthetic as well. Obviously, the whole chest is important, but if you can train the upper chest, it gives you a lot more of the thick, sort of masculine look where there's so much mass up top there. So I really recommend focusing on upper chest, because if you do upper chest exercises like incline bench press, incline dumbbell press, you'll actually gain muscle all over your chest in a quite even way. But if you do a lot of flat press, you might, and like flat press and push-ups, for example, you might notice that you might get a bit more of a saggy look where you don't have the upper chest. Like, you'll notice with guys who say like, oh yeah, I just do push-ups. No offense to him, but like Andrew Tate says this. You'll notice they don't really have any upper chest, and it doesn't look very aesthetic. It's like they've got a big chest, but it almost looks a bit like booby because they don't have the upper mass there, because you've got to do a lot of like overhead press, which hits, you know, the front delt of the shoulder, but a little bit of the upper chest, and a lot of like incline press helps with that as well. You focus on these muscles inside of the gym and you'll build more of a V taper, and that's the aesthetic body, and that's the single greatest thing you can do to improve your physical attractiveness. I hope that you can believe like what I'm about to teach you in this video is it's not me boasting, it's not me lying, okay? But I swear, when I looked like this was in 2022, I was in Thailand, I swear to God, girls were treating me like a rock star. Like, I was just out in public and girls would start taking pictures of me. There was a time where I was sat with my friends and girls like would walk past and like call me and shout over and literally started to approach me. Now, I don't blame you if you don't believe me, because you're like, oh, I doubt it, bro, I doubt it. I don't blame you. If I heard someone else say this, I'd be like, yeah, girls don't act like that. I've got nothing to gain by lying to you here, because the truth is, like I told you, this took me 8 years. If I was trying to lie to you, I would have told you like the hype about something which was like faster, you know, like, oh yeah, my my seduction technique, my game or something. There's no fucking secret here, bro. I just went to the gym for 8 years. I focused on those muscles, which I just told you how to hit for free. And that's the impact. You can just tell, like, if you're being honest and you don't have like a fucking racist bias like so many guys on the internet do, when you see this picture, this is the kind of picture that gets a girl wet. It's just the truth. This is the physique that gets a girl wet. And so when I was out in public, the amount of attention I was getting, most guys on the internet would literally like be so certain that I must be lying or boasting or exaggerating. Only like, you know, the girls who I met and my friends in real life saw that, and like it really felt like I hit Chad level status, or even more than Chad level. Like when I hang out with like Chad friends who are tall, white guys, like, you know, nice looking and everything, but they don't have the physique, I get more positive attention in public and on dating apps than they do. And like, I wouldn't say facially I'm a Chad. I'd say facially, like, if I had to do the whole black pill thing, I'm probably like fairly like maybe a little bit above average. Maybe like, to be fair, like probably quite significant amount above average now, because I've got like the leanness, cheekbone, style, whatever. But it's the aesthetic physique that made all of the difference. Now, along with this, let's improve our face. And so there's 3 things we can do with that. There's mewing, low body fat, and low carb diet. You already know about mewing probably. That's where you stick your tongue at the resting place it's supposed to be at, which is right at the top of your palate. So you get your tongue and you just make sure that it's at the top of your palate and it rests there and it presses gently up against, you know, the roof of your mouth. That's the correct tongue posture, and you'll notice that your jawline will get nicer. Like, this is when I had been mewing for like maybe about 2 years, and I was also lean at the same time. And you can see, like, look at the lighting's kind of poor, but look at the bone structure there. It looks fucking phenomenal, doesn't it? Like, I hope you can see that. Look at that fucking cheekbone there, a little bit of hollow cheeks. This is probably the best like picture I've gotten of like bone structure. These ones here, look at that. This one's in university, same thing there. I worked hard on this shit. I really like learned how to like pose for the camera and everything. So I'll give you a tip with mewing, which no one actually talks about. Mewing, most of it is just making sure you're breathing from your nose. It's that simple, right? Make sure you breathe from your nose and that you'll be not breathing from your mouth. And that will cause a lot of the differences. If you're breathing from your mouth, you're basically anti-mewing and you're doing the opposite effect. So if you've heard of mewing before, that it's healthy and that it improves your jawline, your cheekbones and everything, and your bone structure, if you breathe from your mouth, it does the opposite. There's so many people who breathe from their mouth naturally because their nose is always blocked, or at nighttime when they don't realize it when they're sleeping. There's a weird hack for this that I'm going to tell you right now, and it's actually to buy little bits of tape like this, and literally, I know this is going to sound crazy, but to tape your mouth shut at nighttime. I promise you this is the truth. I have taped my lips shut every single night for about 3 years straight, and it's been amazing for my health and for my jawline. So this is called micro pore tape. This is the tape I use. It's safe. Like, it's like a medical kind of tape that's like safe to use on skin. Micro, MICRO, pore, PORE. You can just go find it on like Amazon or whatever. And I take like a tiny little bit, like, look, like this amount. Literally just this amount. It's completely safe to do because it's not like too much. I'll literally just put it over my lips like this. Now look, I can break it off so it's completely safe. Like, if I need to breathe at nighttime, my mouth will just open because it's not hard to open it. But it's weird because the smallest amount of resistance keeping your lips together kind of cues your brain to just breathe from your nose. And so I'm full on like a nasal breather through the nighttime now, but I wasn't back a few years ago. So when I first started to use this kind of tape, I could literally this is going to sound sexual, but I could only last for a few minutes at a time. And I would literally have to rip it off because I was just struggling to breathe through my nose. And, I was more of a mouth breather back then. Most people I speak to are actually mouth breathers now because of like pollution and all weird shit and diet and whatever, right? But now I've got to the point where I stick on a piece of tape and it's still the same piece of tape all the way through the nighttime, which I'm actually weirdly proud of. It's like a nice accomplishment. So if you go and buy this tape or whatever tape seems like safe for you and you stick it on at nighttime, you might find that you can only keep it on for like a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes before it gets kind of like unbearable. You can't breathe properly and you rip it off. That's fine. What I do is I will rip off a bunch of the sections, like, a bunch of the pieces, have them stuck out of like, my desk or whatever's next to the bed. So I've got like fast reload in cases I need to rip off the current one. So I've got fast reload, I stick on the next one through the night. And if you just do this for a few nights, you'll be so surprised of how addictive it gets because you'll wake up and you'll just feel refreshed. If you do this for a few months, you'll literally see the difference in your jawline. And I promise you that this is actually really healthy. Like, I did a lot of like autistic research. You basically never really want to be breathing from your mouth. Like, obviously it happens when you're mid conversation or you're in the middle of a massive like sports game or something. That's fine. But especially through the night, that's free, like, mewing time if your mouth has the guidance. So don't think that you breathe from your nose at nighttime if you don't do this. Just a little bit of tape. And what's better is now through the day, apart from if I'm talking like I am right now, or apart from if I'm like exercising, I'm actually a nasal breather fully now. Before that, I wasn't. I was manually having to nasal breathe because I was normally a mouth breather. So this made a huge impact, not just on my health, but also on my appearance as well, because I basically get to mew for 8 hours now for free. Along with that low body fat percentage, you absolutely already know that. Lose body fat and you'll get a nicer, sharper looking jawline and cheekbones. I'm at like a fairly high body fat percentage, but you can still see like I've still got like a nice facial structure. Like if I look directly there, I still have a fairly nice facial structure, but I'm peak bulk right now. You might not have actually known that. Think about it. When you see people who are peak bulk, they often look fucking gross. I'm peak bulk, like the heaviest I've ever been on my life today. I just stepped on the scale. I'm literally the heaviest. I'm 196 pounds. In these pictures, I was about 170 usually. I'm 196, the heaviest I've ever been. And I still have like a fairly decent face structure and like cheekbones and jaw. Like look at the sharpness of the jawline there. See? Not amazing, definitely not as good as like these days, right? But if you cut down to about 10% body fat, you'll really start to get a lot of these like prominent cheek shapes there in the jawline. Now, this is an interesting one because a lot of people don't talk about this. Another way to improve your face and even your body is being on a low carb diet. You might be surprised, but it's not just about your body fat percentage, to look leaner. It's also about the kind of food that you eat, because there's food, like a whole macronutrient like carbs, that actually makes you kind of like hold water and look a little bit more bloated. So basically, if you want to look leaner, eat less carbs and you'll just look leaner even if you haven't lost more body fat. It's like a weird hack. A lot of bodybuilders will do this where they'll have certain days where they carb up, but they'll actually have like really low carb days so that they look leaner on particular moments. A lot of models do this. They usually, like most models that I've seen, they usually only have about 100 grams of carbs per day. I'm often on more of like a bastardized like keto diet, keto carnivore, where I mostly eat meat and I have like sometimes sometimes I'll have like cheese and nuts, and that's it. Like, and I'll have like fruit as well. Fruit's like the only kind of carb that I really have, and that's what makes me look leaner. If I cut out the fruit, I look even leaner as well. So if you want to look leaner without losing the body fat, because you want to basically do like, both things at the same time and get as much advantage to look better, lower your carb intake as well. And I know what you're thinking, wait, but I need carbs for calories. I need it for bodybuilding. You can build a fuck ton of muscle just being on keto, like literally just eating a bunch of meat, ribeye steak, butter, cheese. You can build a really good amount of muscle doing that. So the carbs can help. But if you want to look more facially attractive, which is probably the most important, like one of the most important parts of, looking better and attracting more women, just give it a try for like 2 weeks and see how your face looks. And then I would urge you, go and have a cheat day where you have a fuck ton of carbs. Go order some Chinese food, get some rice, get some chips, whatever. It's like good. Oh yeah, it's good for bodybuilding because, it's so much carbs and stuff. And just see what happens and how bloated and like puffy face you look afterwards. Because I've seen it a few times now because I'm on like a low carb diet. The few times where, every now and then I'll kind of cheat on my diet and I'll have like Chinese food with rice or whatever. I'll see the difference now. So you probably don't see the difference because you're always kind of bloated. But when you have a low carb diet, then you have rice and pasta and chips and stuff, then you see the difference and it's like, oh fuck, I don't think I want to eat that food anymore because it just makes me feel like just puffy. You don't look like this often when you eat like a lot of carbs. So it's just something for you to consider if you want to step into that. If you don't, that's fine. Just make sure you get to a low body fat percentage at some point. If you want to bulk up first, I understand that as well. To improve your physical attractiveness, we can also improve our hair. So I've had some very different hairstyles. This was me in high school before I knew about like the products you could use. So I literally didn't even know that gel or hair wax was a thing, by the way. I literally didn't know. So I would style my hair with water and I would swipe it to the side. Like I saw my emo, like white friends, the white friends who like go sit in the corner and listen to like rock music. I was best friends with a kid who would do that. He was my best friend. So I would just, I kind of looked up to him in some ways because he was kind of like he was more social and confident than me. And so when I would hang out with him and his like older friends, they all had the same kind of hair. So I tried growing it out as well. I just looked so out of place because I'm like a little brown kid, didn't even like rock music, felt so out of place with these kids talking about like cutting themselves with razors, and here I was like, what the fuck? I just play RuneScape. So I used to style my hair with water, and I'd get to the school and I'd almost be shocked when I'd see in the reflection or, in the mirror that like my hair didn't look the same because I had, I'd styled it up. I'd be there obsessing over it in the toilet, but I didn't realize that like you need to put in some hair product. And so this was basically some clapped hair, and I was always slightly kind of insecure about it because it would just never be at a style that I actually found attractive. So the next picture is actually this one here. We jump over. This was from Thailand, like around that same picture of the aesthetic body one with the towel. And this is probably as like nice as my hair's been. It's very clean, sharp. It looks like, like professional and everything. I've got a good barber who did this. It looks sexy. It's a little bit messy, but it kind of like goes with the style. And I really like this. This is actually 6 months after this picture. And this was me. Like I just grew out this same hair there. I grew out the beard as well. And I was just, seeing what happens. I was going for more of like this, this like big masculine Viking look where I want like, long hair and I want a thick beard and stuff. And honestly, like maybe if I grew it out and the hair got to about like down to my shoulders, it could have looked good, but like it just looked clapped, honestly. And I was always so insecure about it. I kept on wearing like a hat to cover it up and everything. My beard didn't look that nice. And so if you want to look good, I wouldn't say to go for like this kind of like wild look where you're like, oh, I don't care. I just want like a big beard as much as possible. I want to look masculine and stuff. Because if you want to look attractive, the clean, sharp Chad look will always serve you well. And then this picture is kind of blurry, but this was a podcast I just did in London. You can see I've got like a similar vibe to this one. It's just a little bit shorter, but it's like very clean. I've got a little bit darker stubble there compared to this one. And I've just got like a little bit shorter, but clean hair. And I think personally, that's a way better style. Like you can't go wrong with having like a clean look. Like for many guys watching this, you can't go wrong with, for example, like just shaving. Like if you've got like scraggly facial hair, which most guys do, you shaving, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, no, like, you can't go wrong with that, but you can go wrong with having shitty facial hair. There's nothing wrong with having like this clean style hair here, but you can go wrong with having this, like, this, trying to do the cute TikTok boy look. If you can grow that hair, like, it's quite attractive to a lot of girls. So I understand if you want to push for that, but I actually think, just for me personally, the clean look, you cannot go wrong with it, and I would go with that. If you want some inspiration, search up Mike Thurston. He's a 30-something-year-old guy, really attractive guy, like a high-value man, and he's got a very good, like, clean, sharp style. I like to push for more of that look these days, rather than this kind of, like, wild look of, like, yeah, I've got a big, thick beard, and I don't care about how I look. Now, along with becoming more desirable, like I mentioned, we can make money and get status. So this is the leaderboard on the website where I sell my program, Adonis School. This is basically other people's like programs and how they compete with me. You can see that I'm almost 2 times than everyone else. I'm first place on this entire website. This website is called School. My Adonis School is that seduction program I mentioned. Basically, I'm like number 1 on this website where I sell my seduction program. So you can see that I make a fuck ton of money, right? This is the official like leaderboard on this website where you don't declare your income. Like, the website tracks it, so no one can be lying about this. So this is like what the website tracks for me, 178,000 a month. This means monthly recurring revenue. So this is what I make a month. I'm basically more than a millionaire at this point, which I know you might be surprised by, but it's actually the truth. You can't lie on this website, right? They track how much money you make. Along with this, though, I actually take about $50,000 in private payments. I don't mind if you don't believe me on that, because I don't really have the proof. I can go find like the screenshots, but you don't have to believe me. But like, it's, if you can hopefully believe me, I've got a chunk of payments in like a private thing called Thrive Cards. Basically, like, we sold this program before this entire website had like their payment feature. So I used to take payments like for this program in like this separate, kind of like Stripe, basically, kind of like PayPal, and it's monthly recurring. So I have about 50,000 a month coming in. So I make about $230,000 a month, over like 2.5 million a year just from this program. What do you think that lets me afford? Everything, right? If I want to travel, there's no like Airbnb that feels too expensive for me. I'll go to London for a few days. I'll go stay in like 5-star hotel, and there's like gorgeous women around there, and it just makes it easy because they're wondering like, how can you afford to be there? And you invite women over to your 5-star fancy hotel, and it's like, it's it really feels like easy mode when you've got money, because you're not stressed. Like, for example, I went on a first date like maybe a month or 2 ago, and it was inside of a bar in a hotel. We're in the bar, we get along really well, and we both know we're going to fuck that night, and there's a hotel right there. And it's like, it didn't stress me out at all to go buy the hotel room, knowing that like we're going to use it for like 2 hours, like knowing that we're going to use it for like 7 minutes. Like, it didn't stress me out. Like, however much it cost, it didn't make a difference, because look at this number right here, $178,854 a month. The hotel room, what would it have been? Like $100, $200? Do you really think if we took off $200, like I would have noticed with how much money I make and how much money I have in my bank account? Like, literally not at all. It didn't stress me out at all. And so I literally got to like basically not only like sleep with this girl, but also like, I'm not even gonna lie, like actually have an amazing time with her and keep seeing her as well. And think about like the experience that I've had with this one particular girl has been so sweet that if I look back and if I was broke and I couldn't afford that hotel room, and we like, it was a little bit awkward us trying to fuck, but we couldn't go to her place, we couldn't go to my place, and we're like, oh yeah, we'll try and figure something out, and we didn't connect as much that day. And you know how shit happens with a girl, where like sometimes it just drops off and whatever. You can go on a good date, or you could be texting her and she stops replying. Imagine if I didn't get that life experience because I couldn't afford like a $200 hotel. Like, that's probably happened to you. Like, if you could afford your own place, if you could afford to like literally fly girls out to meet you from different countries, your dating life would really improve. Now, you don't need to spend money on the girl in terms of buying her gifts. I don't really ever do that, but I'll spend money on things which like I'll be using alongside it. So for example, like if I'm staying in a hotel, then I can get a girl to come stay with me. If I'm going on this trip, I can get a girl to come with me. It's like, I'm not buying her a handbag or anything like that, but I'm kind of like inviting her to come with me because I would like her to be with me, and it doesn't stress me out at all. And so the way to make money and get status at the same time is to become an educator influencer. Literally what I'm doing right here, right now. This is why I really hope you can see how like authentic and honest I'm being. I'm telling you basically to start the same kind of business that I'm doing where you would literally be competing with me, because I don't want to lie to you and say like, oh, you can do this other thing to make money. You can do this thing. You can do this, like, you can do this business model that I have like a program which teaches you. I'm literally telling you the truth. This is the business model I am doing, not like years ago, right now. I'm doing this business model right now. I'm showing you how fucking good it is. This is an updated screenshot. I only took this like 2 days ago. And I'm telling you, you may as well fucking start the same kind of content. It doesn't have to be dating, seduction niche, but it can just be like being an educator, influencer, being like a YouTuber who teaches practical lessons on whatever topic, self-improvement, health, sleep, fitness, whatever. And then you eventually sell them some kind of product like what I'm selling here. That's something you can think about in like, a year from now. But I'm just putting this into your mind because I really think this is the best business model. And it's also very, very desirable as well. Here's the thing. When girls ask me what I do for work and I say I'm a YouTuber and it gets known that I have 2 million followers on YouTube and I have like 200 something thousand on Instagram, they're more attracted to me. And you know what's interesting? You might think like, oh, it's just like degenerate, low quality women. You'd be surprised. I've got like really really fucking high quality women. I can't even describe them to you because I don't really want to reveal their identities. But I've got some high quality women who are literally private or don't even have social media, who aren't part of that sort of influencer stuff. But they literally liked me more when they saw it mostly because I'm not an entertainer, right? If I was some clown, like no offense, but like, Mr. Beast or like Jake Paul or whatever, or whoever, I don't mean to throw shit, but if I was some like entertainment kind of person, they probably would have found it a bit cringe. But when they can see that I help men to improve their lives, they literally respect me for that. Like if I showed you some of the messages that I get from girls who are high quality as fuck, like really successful, I'm talking rich women, I'm talking women that come from powerful families, and the messages they send me where they say they're proud of me, where they say like it's so admirable what I'm doing for these young men, you might think twice about thinking like, oh, but being an influencer is kind of cringe, because good women see the impact of being an educator online on how many lives you can change. And so it's a really attractive business model. You can make a fuck ton of money as well. This is how much money I've made just from YouTube AdSense in the last year when I haven't even been taking YouTube seriously. So if you've been watching me for a long time, for the last year, like my biggest focus has been on my paid product, and I haven't really been focusing on growing my YouTube channel. You can see like I've been getting 81% less subscribers in the last year, which is fine because my fucking business has skyrocketed in the same time. But even with a YouTube channel that I haven't been grinding, I've made 150 grand in the last year. Like you can see the dates there, 150 grand in the last year. How sick is that? That's passive, by the way. I've not been grinding this at all. You can see it's been fairly low compared to what it used to be. 150 grand. The year before that, like this is a good year. This is 2022 where I grew a lot. $227,000, pounds. Just from YouTube. And this is usually the smallest part of a YouTuber's income. If you sell a paid product like I do, you make a fuck ton more money. So this is year. This is month. So you can imagine how much I'm making a year, right? It's fucking insane. Become an educator influencer like Chris Williamson, Iman Gaji, Andrew Huberman. We'll talk more about the content funnel of why this is attractive to women and why if you start this business model, you'll literally get girls who message you first on Instagram. But it's by far the most popular, most powerful way to meet high quality women who are interesting, who are educated. Because if you make this kind of intellectual content, you'll attract women who are literally searching up like education online. And so they will end up, I'll teach you how, end up messaging you first on Instagram, making themselves known to you. And it's such a powerful way to meet women in the modern day. So we'll be talking about how to set this up in a second. But I really recommend that for you to make money and get status, you just become it's kind of the cliche advice, become a YouTuber, not just any YouTuber, but a YouTuber who educates others, who talks about intellectual things, who talks about making money, who gives his insights on a podcast, who talks about science and science-based tools for health and longevity. So how do you start this? It's so simple. Post content about what you've recently learned. Stay authentic. Post consistently. It's that simple. You're just overcomplicating it otherwise. This is all you've got to do. Pick a platform that you currently watch on already. So you're watching on YouTube. So just pick YouTube. Forget everything else. You don't need to do all the platforms and do the content repurposing or anything like that. Just make YouTube videos. Make YouTube videos about what you've learned recently or whatever's recently come into your mind. So you press record and you say, this is what I've been thinking about recently. It's kind of crazy how Western women, like, whatever comes into your mind, you teach that. And you teach as much like education, practical education that helps people improve their lives. And if you can try and aim it towards both men and women, like you can see, for example, with Andrew Huberman, he gives like science advice on how to like improve your health. And he talks about like getting sunlight and stuff. And so he has a fairly high female audience because women can watch that kind of videos as well. My videos, not so much. My videos are for men to improve themselves, to date and to build muscle and stuff. So I don't have that many women, but there's still a fair amount who will watch me. Eman's is kind of similar. He makes videos for guys who are like trying to escape the matrix, kind of like Andrew Tate. And then Chris is really good for women because he just talks to like researchers and like scientists and stuff. And so a lot of women can watch that. So if you make the kind of videos that women could watch, like you talk about health, you talk about philosophy in the modern day, and you know talk to like female experts if it's a podcast, and you stay authentic and you show your happy, friendly side, your respectful side, your intellectual side, and also your attractive as well, because we've already talked about looks maxing. Then you post consistently, you'll grow an audienceship, and eventually, like a year, 2 years from now, you can monetize that and make a fuck ton of money, and you'll also have followers and you'll have girls who are messaging you first. It's simple, but it's not easy. It'll take years. But by far, in terms of making money, this is the greatest way to do it in the modern day. By far, not even close. And so I really recommend you just take that a bit seriously and you just keep this in your mind for the next, like, you know, couple of months as you're figuring out like what to do with your life, what business model to get into. This has like Hamza's like thumbs up, basically. Like I would really recommend that you get into this. You'll have to learn more about it as well, but yeah. And then one more thing you can do to become more desirable and to like basically get status is to get popular in real life with good people. So if you can go and meet people who are social, who are friendly, who are going out and doing stuff, who are in happy moods, who are intellectual. This is me with Chris right from here as well. Then basically you'll have a reason for you to go outside. You'll have a reason for you to like be social. You'll have a reason for you to take nice, attractive pictures with guys. And you've got like a reason for you to literally go out and be social. And that will help you to become more desirable because you're living a happy, fun, social life where there's people who you're hanging out with. You're going out to nice places. You're doing fun things. Girls can often join the kind of stuff that you're doing. Basically, like if you get more popular in real life, like basically make good friends in real life that you do social things with, you'll end up meeting more girls and becoming more desirable because girls want to join a fun guy's life. So here's me with Mo Samuels. He's another YouTuber as well. And I've seen him a bunch of times, and like he just came over to my gym like a week ago and we just trained together. It was a funny session. We trained with one of the PTs and we like hit like this massive chest day. He's training for a prep. And it's like, that we got content with it. We had a fun day, and the girls inside of the gym would have noticed. They would have saw me there with another attractive guy who's confident, who's social. And it's like, that's of course going to help me there, not only because girls will perceive it as like, okay, Hamza's a social guy, but also that I'm happier and healthier as well. So you don't underestimate how powerful social status can be in real life, having friends and doing fun things with them, because it will just make you so much better with girls when you've got a good social life. Like when you've been around the boys, then you go hang out with a girl, you'll do so much better with the girl than if you've been like an autist who just sits at home and watches YouTube videos all the time, probably like you do. So go out and be social with guys. And how do you actually start this? Well, I'll break it down. I'm trying to be as detailed as possible in this guide. I really hope you appreciate that. If you do, give this video a nice thumbs up. I'm pretty sure it doesn't do anything, but you can do it anyway. So how do you start actually becoming popular in real life? Just start by being the guy who gives out compliments to strangers. That's the easiest way to speak to everyone and get into wholesome conversations. Be the guy who gives compliments to everyone that you see. Simple as that. Be the guy who gives out so many compliments every single day. You just force your brain to think of something that you can admire of every person that you've got like time to speak to, and become the guy who randomly will give a compliment to someone you're walking past on the train, walking into the gym, inside the gym. Be that guy who's just friendly and leaving like a friendly, like happy trail of compliments and gratitude and smiles. If you just do that and you give compliments to strangers, you will end up getting such an abundance of people who want to hang out with you because it's such a friendly attitude. If you're there with a smile and you literally go over to like a guy who's in the gym and you say, "What's up, bro? Arms are looking massive." Just that. And it's like, bro, like that guy will probably want to be friends with you. Not because you've just complimented him, because you're showing such an attractive, confident energy. And I do this personally myself. I was just in the gym yesterday getting changed in the changing rooms. And there was a guy next to me who had like a really lean physique. He wasn't massive, but he was lean. He had like a really nice six pack. So I saw it, and I'm not going to lie to you, like I hesitated as well. I was a little, should I say anything? I don't want to, or whatever. And I was like, fuck it, come on, like I know it's going to be good. So as he's not even looking towards me, but I almost shout out and say, like, "You've got a really nice physique, bro." And he looks over and he's like, "Oh, thank you, mate." And he's straight away, he's friendly, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a fight coming up, so I'm cutting down, but I appreciate you saying that because I was feeling a little bit fat." He's still got like 6 kilograms to cut in like 2 days, and he's flying to like Dubai. This is going to be his 14th fight and everything. And I was like, it was such an interesting conversation. And here's the truth. I didn't get his Instagram. I didn't plan anything with him, but I still felt awesome doing that. Now, if I see that guy in the gym again, it's going to be so easy for me to speak to him again and be like, "Oh, bro, how's your fight? Like, how did it go? Are you still cutting now? Or like, have you rebounded? Have you ate a bunch more food? How is your training now?" It makes it so easy that I've got like a friendly face in there now. And it's like, I felt good giving him that compliment. And I literally saw him, I promise you, this was like a jack, like a lean aesthetic fighter, like a full on martial arts guy. I promise you, he left right there. Like I saw him go up towards the sauna with a massive fucking smile on his face, like a little boy. Like he looked so happy as he left because I just complimented his hard work. And when he was telling me that, "Oh yeah, he's done 14 fights," I was bigging it up. I was like, that's fucking sick. He literally left, like, I swear to God, we're like smiling with his teeth out. Like, like we stopped talking, but I saw him leave with that smile. And I was like, oh, that's so fucking wholesome that I had that effect on another person. And so it would have been fairly easy for me. I won't lie to you, I didn't, but I could have. It would have been easy for me to get his number or his Instagram and to simply just invite him to do a workout with me. We can replace workout with anything else, but if you're watching this, you're probably a guy who likes the workout because you watch my videos. So it's that simple. Get into conversations with strangers by just giving them a compliment with whatever your brain generates about them, and then just ask and just say to them like, "Oh, I'll get your Instagram and we can do a workout together." And if they seem receptive towards that, then send them a message and be like, "Oh, hey, bro, I'm training back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Want to join in?" You just like literally just text them exactly what your normal plan was going to be. And if anyone says yes to that, which honestly, most of the time where I've done this, the person has said yes and they come and meet me at that time. Literally, most of the time I ask people, they'll say yes. You've literally just made a new fucking friend in the time of like 20 minutes. Imagine if you did this every day and you started being that group of guys in the gym who are always laughing, lifting heavy weights. Girls are going to notice, like, you'll be in a better mood when you lift weights. You'll be in a better mood when you guys are going to get food or whatever. You'll just be in a healthier, happier mood day to day. And we all know like what happens when you're not feeling lonely. You perform better in like every area that you care about. Your testosterone literally goes up when you're around other guys. You feel happier. You reverse the negative consequences of loneliness. And so this is such a wholesome thing to do. And so this will actually help you to become more desirable to women because you're living a more fun life when you've got these male friends. That's when you can go and do more fun things. You can randomly like say to your 2-3 friends, like, "Boys, like, what's stopping us from going on a fucking road trip right now? Let's plan it. Let's all just go like drive around the fucking country for a few days. Let's go and do this trip. Let's go and like go to this restaurant. Let's go and plan this thing." Suddenly you've got content of you doing this wholesome thing. You guys have went on a trip together. Girls will watch that shit on your Instagram. They'll hear of your stories, and they'll be more into you. Another thing is like when you're speaking to girls, like soon we'll talk about seduction and like what to say with a girl. We'll talk about that in a second. But when you're speaking to girls, being able to tell stories of you and your vibrant social life, of your one friend who did this and another friend said this, girls find that really attractive because as long as you're not talking about loser shit, like, "Oh yeah, my friend got really drunk," but you're talking about like adventurous stuff and, "Oh, my friend did that," and so my friend came back from that country and he just told me this happened. Often you can tell the stories of another person and people don't find that weird or sad or unattractive. In fact, girls find that really attractive because it means you know other people's. It means you're a social person who other people like as well. So don't underestimate this. I know you're here basically to get laid and to get girls, but you'd be surprised of how well this could help you and also how well in and of itself it's valuable for you to have as well. Now let's talk about learning seduction. One of the number one tips that I want to give, this picture's so fucking hot, honestly. Look at the cute little smile on her face, bro. This picture's this topic is so important. Most guys need to learn this, and I promise you that you need to learn this as well. When you're with a girl, you need to talk less. Simple, as much as I can say, that's it. Speak less when you're next to women. When I'm in a conversation with a girl, she speaks for probably about 80% of that conversation. I'm laid back. This is like girls I want to fuck, right? I'm laid back, and I'll be more doing what's called ad-libs in rap music, where basically the rapper says most of the lyrics, and he has like one of his friends who'll just come in and go like, yeah. You know, like he'll say like the little side piece of like, yeah, say it right now. Like whatever. Like that's what I see myself in the position of ad-libs. Not because I see myself as like below her, but because like the reason why this works, I'll just be honest to you, is because it stops you from saying stupid shit. Now, if you're watching this kind of guide, I promise you, you're probably kind of like autistic and intellectual, and you probably have a chance of saying some stupid shit that dries her pussy, and you're basically stepping on your own dick. And so the reason why this works is because it gives you less of a chance to say anything that unattracts her. You don't need to talk much to attract a girl. If anything, talking less makes you more attractive, because the person who talks less is often more powerful. Like usually, like you'd be surprised, you think it's the opposite way around, but it's not. In terms of like the laws of power, the person who talks more is usually less powerful. The person who's more silent has so much more confidence and comfortability with the silence, which means he has more of the power. So basically, when you're on a date, talk less. You ask her questions, let her ramble for a minute, 2 minutes. Then if she's a good girl and, you know, good person, and she asks you the same question, take like a little moment, be a little bit mysterious. And instead of yapping on like for 2 minutes, 5 minutes straight and talking about Hamza's videos and, you know, he used to make the Jeffrey and Adonis video, like instead of fucking just yapping on about stuff, take a second, stare into her eyes, take a breath fully, and then just answer it in as little words as possible. I ask her, let me give you some real examples just to illustrate this point. It's every time I talk about like what to say to a girl, it often feels a little bit uncomfortable because obviously I'm not in the right vibe. I don't have a girl in front of me right now. You're not a girl. So this is going to seem more cringe than it should, right? If you imagine me saying this on a date with a girl who's kind of attracted to me and we're both like drinking a little bit, we've already, you know, I've put my hand on her hand, there's a bit of physical escalation. Then imagine what I'm saying. Me saying this to you right now is going to sound fucking cringe, right? So don't pretend that I'm saying this to you, right? So I say to her like, oh, so what did you do today? She starts yapping, I did this, and, you know, I had this problem, and like, okay, I did this, and what about you? What did you do today? Instead of me saying, oh, so I woke up at 4 a.m. and then I worked, and then at 8 a.m. I went to the gym and it was a back day. And, you know, like a lot of people say that push-pull legs is better because they eat, you know, you should train a muscle twice, but I actually kind of like bros, like instead of me just fucking yapping on, I'll just say, you know, I was working on a really important task earlier today, and it made me think of, and I'll end up saying some interesting points or a very short, like interesting story. And that's it. I'll literally speak for about 15 seconds. She speaks for about 2 minutes straight. Then I flip the question back on her and ask her another question. You'll find that if you just talk less, if she talks for about 80% of the conversation, she'll be more into you. She'll be so much more into you because you will only show the best, most calculated parts of your conversation skills, which is important because you're basically presenting your best self. You've got quality, not quantity. Another part of seduction, which is really important, is just pretending you're sexually satisfied if you're not already. This is primarily attractive to women more than you'd realize. Being sexually satisfied is a very attractive trait to women because of something called pre-selection, where basically she can tell that other women are into you and that the choice to be with you becomes easier because of conformity. So women have a primal attraction to a man who doesn't seem needy because it just displays high status. So look, if you show her the truth that you're not sexually satisfied right now, basically that you're not getting pussy right now and that you don't have any girls in your life, that will actually unattract her. Even though most girls will tell you that they don't want a guy who's a player, they're basically lying to themselves. Most girls, even if they say stuff like, I don't want a guy who's gets loads of girls. It's not true. Like, you don't need to listen to what a woman says, because they don't even know what they want themselves. They say that they don't want a guy who's a player and stuff, but they won't date you if you're a virgin, because it gives them the ick. The reason why is because if you are not sexually satisfied, they get this primal realization that other women don't like you, and that makes them feel like they have to go against the grain, like against conformity, to like you. And they don't want to do that. Women are a lot more like conformist than men are. And so they don't want to step against the grain. Basically, in her mind, she's thinking subconsciously, if other girls aren't fucking him, then I probably shouldn't as well. If she can tell that other girls are fucking you, and I'll tell you like how to, pretend that that's the case, then in her mind, she'll think, okay, other girls are fucking him. Maybe I should as well. Maybe there's a reason why they are. Other girls have already they've validated him. They've vetted him and found that he's a good person to have sex with, right? So how do you pretend? Because the reason why I wrote pretend is because if you're actually sexually satisfied, let's be honest, you wouldn't be watching this presentation. If you are not, and you're not consistently basically having sex every day, you will come off as this kind of like slightly ugly energy without realizing it, because you'll care too much, and she'll basically see like, oh yeah, this guy isn't getting laid right now, which means other girls don't like him, which means I probably shouldn't like him. So basically pretend you're already getting girls. What does this actually look like? It means that you don't put her on a pedestal. It means that, for example, you aren't desperate to meet her. Pretend that you've just had 2 of your 10 out of 10s sucking your dick the moment that you meet this girl. Like, pretend that that's just happened just before you met her. You had 2 of your perfect 10 out of 10s sucking your dick. Would you still take this girl's bullshit? If she turns up half an hour late, would you still be sat there if you had your 2 10 out of 10s waiting at home? Fuck no. Fuck no. Would you still be texting her, triple texting her, if you had your 2 10 out of 10s fucking gargling and doing the fucking double blowjob for you? Fuck no. If you act like you've just got your 2 10 out of 10s who have been sucking your dick, you'd be acting in such a better, more sexy way with this girl, and she'll pick up on that. So always act like you don't actually care that much about sleeping with her, which honestly is even like safer and better for the woman, because then she doesn't feel very pressured. She doesn't get the ick of a guy who's quite desperate with it. I'd say most guys need this and the previous lesson a lot, because they, one, talk too much because they're not sexually satisfied and they're so anxious and scared. There'll be some noob who doesn't get good results with women in the comments saying, this is stupid advice, I like talking and I want to talk more. Yeah, fair enough. You talk to her and I'll fuck her. If that's the agreement this little chump wants, by all means go ahead. Remember what you're here for. If you want to connect with this girl more than just being her texting buddy, these are the seduction tactics that will actually work. And they're important for you to not only to fake and to do manually, but also for you to eventually step into, to act like you're sexually satisfied, to act like you're not desperate, you're not needy for her. That's a very attractive trait. Like, being needy, it just gives people the ick. And so if you pretend that you've just had the double blowjob from your 2 10 out of 10s, you'll come across in a way more attractive way for her, because you're just displaying high status. You're basically showing her that other women like me. The final thing is the social and sexual mannerisms, like how to sit. Like, I'm kind of slouched and stuff, but the smallest things of like the holding the eye contact and the way to touch her and everything. The easy way with this is to just copy the mannerisms of an attractive guy that you look up to. Because me trying to explain the most autistic details, like touch her hand like this, look at her eyes like this, it'll make you overthink. And so I don't want to do that. Instead, what I want you to do is just find the attractive guy that you look up to and copy his mannerisms when he's with women. So often you can go and watch like movies of like, certain like James Bond or some shit, how he acts with women. You can find YouTubers who have made videos where they're with women. I've got videos where I'm with women in some of my videos. I'm going to record a full like in-field video of me on a first date for the students in a Adonis school. So eventually, if you want to join, that's my seduction program. Eventually, if you want to join, you'll be able to get access with that, where like basically I'll record me on a full-on first date, showing the kind of subtle mannerisms, how I talk to her, how laid back I am, how I end up going from like touching her hand to eventually kissing her. I'll show that all. But like for now, either go and look up the attractive guy and just copy his mannerisms, or just kind of close your eyes and just see it anyway. Like, for example, if you close your eyes and just imagine the way that I would be with women, with what you know of me and what I've spoke about in this video, kind of copy that. Like, you could probably imagine that I'd be speaking with a bit more of a deeper voice. I'd be staring into her eyes a bit more. I'd laugh and I'd kind of like, push her with my elbow to touch her a little bit. Those like calculated things. And copy some of those mannerisms, and that'll do you really well. So that's one of the first steps to attracting good women in our 20s, become more desirable. Give me 1 second, I'm going to take my hoodie off. Okay, let's keep going to step 2, which is finding women. Where do you actually find the women? Well, there's 3 major places that I'd recommend. There's dating apps. There's 3 methods. There's dating apps, there's cold approaching in different environments, and then there's the content funnel, which is probably the most powerful one, and we'll go through all of them and my advice for each one. So let's talk about dating apps. These are some of the pictures that have gotten me the most likes. When I use these pictures and that one towel picture from before, I get more matches than basically any other guy I've ever seen, including guys who are more attractive than me, just because I've very much calculated the kind of pictures that I take here. So you may be wondering, first of all, aren't the girls on their lower quality? Here's the thing. The dating apps are so universally used these days that it's just comprised of the quality of women in the area anyway. So to say that there's only degenerate women on dating apps, it's kind of like a little bit of this forced narrative, because there's just all kinds of women on dating apps. These days, there's literally like good Christian Muslim women on dating apps. Like every kind of person, every kind of woman uses dating apps these days. Is there total degenerates on there? Yes. But is there also girls who have just downloaded it because they've heard of it so much and they've wanted to like just see if it works because they're not meeting good guys either? Yes, there absolutely is. And so for you to find good women, for you to find women in general, it makes sense to use dating apps because it's a platform which makes it fairly streamlined for you to potentially meet women, to go on dates with them, to speak to them. And it doesn't actually take like that long. It doesn't cost that much. And so I actually recommend using them as long as you are attractive enough to get like, let's say 5 matches a day. Now, most guys, 99% of guys have to literally just like ignore what I've just said because you don't get 5 matches a day. So how do you get more matches? Well, then you need to actually do these steps here. You need to take a picture like this. I'll walk you through it right now. So this is what I'd say. Are there good quality women on dating apps? Yes. Should you use them? Give it a try following the advice on the next page, and then let's see what happens. If the advice on this next page doesn't work for you, then don't use them anymore. You can delete your account. If it does work for you, then you may as well keep using it. So this is exactly what I'd say. Delete your current account because you probably have shit elo. Elo is kind of like your invisible score on the app, and most likely yours is really low, no offense. So delete your current account. Just trust me when I say this. I know that you've probably got like one girl who hasn't replied to your message just yet because you're convincing yourself she hasn't seen it yet when she actually has and she just doesn't want to reply. But don't like feel like this one girl who you haven't even met is important. The women on dating apps are only important when you actually have them like meeting you in real life. But in the lead up to the meetup, I don't even treat them like see them as like real human beings. Rather, I just see it as a numbers game because of how many girls you'll like end up speaking to, getting a little bit of an emotional investment, and then they don't end up meeting you anyway. So just trust me on this. Delete your current account. Make a new account with a shirtless towel picture. Even if you don't have a great body, you'll still get more matches. So this kind of towel picture here, cover up a little bit more than I've probably done there. Like I'm probably risking it a little bit. But like even if you don't have a good body, make a picture like this. You'd be surprised that even if you don't have a good body, you'll get literally double or triple the normal matches you normally get just because it stands out and you're showing like I fuck basically. This picture will attract more girls who are just looking to fuck you, by the way. So if you're not if you're looking for something way more serious and way more sort of less degenerate, then, adjust accordingly, have like still an attractive picture, but maybe wear more clothes or something. But I would highly recommend having a shirtless picture. And if you want girls who want to fuck you, this towel pose here, just trust me when I say, like, I've taken literally hundreds of Tinder pictures, maybe even thousands at this point. And this is the most attractive kind of pose that I recommend for my students. And they get insane results with this. Send the same copy and paste message to all girls so you don't build up emotional investments, as chances are you won't meet one particular girl. So you start your profile again. You've taken an attractive picture like this. You maybe only use 1 or 2 or 3 pictures, and you send the same copy and paste message to all the girls. So apologies, I should have just told you what the message was. But the message that I personally send, because I want to meet them as soon as possible, I don't want to text, and I really recommend you don't be a chump who texts girls, and you push to meeting them. The text is, with no capital letter. I don't know why, it just does better. Just trust me on that. No capital letter. Hey, her name, comma, you in, and then the city or town that you're in, question mark. And sometimes I'll put like a little rose emoji or some shit, like a little flower emoji. She replies, one other thing is I write tonight. So, hey, Sarah, no capital letter on her name. Again, like it sounds like autistic and like weird, but like, trust me, girls for some reason are more attracted to you if you do that shit, right? No capital letter on the hey, no capital letter on her name, comma, you in London tonight, question mark, Rose. Because what you're doing is you're kind of showing your intention of meeting her tonight, but you're not actually pushing hard for it. You're just asking a casual question of if she's there. The moment if she says like, hey, yes, I am, and she's replied, fast enough, I'll literally say like something along the lines of wine at, and then the location. So usually I stay in like a 5-star hotel. And so I'll say to her like wine at this hotel that I'm in, and then just see. The point of Tinder and dating apps is not to actually get a connection with these women on the dating app, not to text them, but it's to meet them in real life. To meet a girl in real life from a dating app, you need to get about 100 matches. That's just like a rough number. And so if you get about 5 to 10 matches a day, then by all means, it's worth it. Continue it. If you still with this kind of picture don't, then quite frankly, you're just not attractive enough. And I probably wouldn't recommend using them, but I'd suggest you at least give it a try. You just, have the confidence to just see what happens when you have like your first shirtless picture. Because if you get like, this is what I get in like 24 hours, by the way. If you get like 100 likes per day, basically every single day, especially in like a big city, you can be meeting a girl. Like, and I actually promise that's the case. Like if you get about 100 matches, which most guys can't even dream of, but when you look like this, you actually can do. And like I showed you those earlier pictures of me, I wasn't born with this. It wasn't like genetics or some shit. I had to fucking work hard for this. I taped my mouth shut every night. I did the mewing. I did the neck training. I did the aesthetic body training and stuff. I learned how to take like attractive pictures with the right facial pose. I got the hair, got the eyebrow slit. I had to learn this shit, right? This wasn't like, just genetics. I wasn't born with this shit, right? So I put in the work for this. And if you put in the work for this to be able to look attractive and be able to take pictures like this, you'll at the very least be getting 10, 20, 30 matches a day. That's where every few days, every week, you could be meeting a new girl just from dating apps, which I think is a very powerful way to be meeting girls. So should you use them once you've set this up? I think give it a try, see what happens. If you get about 5-10 matches a day, continue using it. If you still get less than like 5 matches a day, maybe consider not using it and then moving on to what's probably the best way to attract, it's the best way to attract women in real life is just cold approach. There's other ones which is like, okay, you can do night game where you go out to like clubs and parties. I don't like that because it's just a bit degenerate and I don't want to be mixing with people who like drink alcohol and go out at nighttime because I don't personally do that. Cold approach is often at daytime. You just live in your life. Here's me in like this is a co-working space in Bali, and I saw this girl journaling, and I literally just went up to her, and I had a girlfriend, by the way. We were recording this honestly just for content. She was basically flirting with me. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like led her on because I was basically flirting with her, but for this video. And I went up to her and just said like, "Oh, what are you journaling?" And the moment she saw me, she literally got so happy, turned her body towards me. You see the entire video, like we've posted the clip a few times, and I was honestly only using it for content. But she was a really sweet, like lovely girl. She was talking about she was journaling this. She has like a little I won't go into details, but she's got like a little business and everything, and she was like a really sweet girl. And if you get good at cold approaching, you'll be able to have like these wonderful, like magical experiences like wherever you go. This is probably the best way of meeting women in real life compared to, social game and nighttime game, because it's a skill that you can take with you anywhere forever. Think about how powerful that is. If you get amazing at cold approach, you'll basically always be able to speak to women when you come across them, which is so like, I don't know about you, but I want you to think about that. Imagine you get amazing at cold approaching, right? Amazing. To the point that you've got like no approach anxiety. When there's a girl that you're attracted to, you can walk up to her and speak to her. Doesn't that like fucking fill your balls up with some fucking energy when you think about you could walk into a gym in any country around the world, and if there's a girl there, you could walk straight up and there's a chance that you would be fucking pounding her that night because of the confidence that you had to just go speak to her whilst everyone else is trying to DM her on Instagram or trying to match with her on Tinder. I way prefer cold approach over Tinder, in my opinion. And I want you to know, my Tinder game's fucking powerful. But I have a spare phone, so I have like You know how rappers have trap phones? I have a spare phone that I use for Tinder, so I don't put it on my proper phone because it'll just be distracting, right? And I promise you, I literally forget to check it because I don't really enjoy being on Tinder, even though I get girls from it. Just because it's like even the short bit of needing to copy and paste fucking messages and shit. I don't like, and this is a weird point, and I'm sure you won't relate to this right now. Tinder gets too easy. Like, I can basically like spawn a woman to meet me at a date, and I don't actually find that like interesting anymore because it was like it didn't feel difficult to do that. It's just a numbers game. You take some good pictures, you copy and paste the same message to 100 girls, and a girl will turn up. And I know, like, from the point that a girl's met me on a date, I know how to sleep with them after that. So it's like it's not special, but cold approaching is the hard thing. That's like the thrill of the hunt. That's like the thing that still gives me the fucking heartbeat. And so it's like, it's quite addictive. Like, if you've got a certain personality where you'd be good at like business and sales and speaking to people in public, then you'll like this. And if you're scared of doing that, which I was to begin with, know that like most guys who get good with cold approaching, like I'd say I'm fairly good at it, we still feel the same fear. The fear doesn't really go away. You just kind of get used to it. It's kind of like, you know, being in the gym. The pain doesn't really go away. You know, like when you hit chest really hard and the muscles really sore, the pain doesn't go away, but you kind of start to like it after a while. That's what happens with approach anxiety. The fear doesn't go away, but it changes from approach anxiety to approach excitement. And honestly, like, I just want to, like, because it means a lot to me, I really want you to like feel the same thing that I'm feeling. Like, just imagine, like, whenever you travel, wherever you are, you're in the gym, you're commuting, whatever, all of your life becomes an opportunity to meet women instead of like the lame feeling of using dating apps and Instagram. If you get amazing at cold approaching, you'll never struggle with women ever again. Think about that. This one skill of just going up to a girl, either asking her a question or giving her a compliment, if you get amazing at that, you will always have an abundance of women for the rest of your life. Think about that as a skill right now. With Tinder, you can get banned, shit can change, you know, the rules change and it gets worse and worse and worse, whatever, you know, things change. Nighttime game, do you really want to be drinking and going out to clubs for the rest of your life? Not really. If you can cold approach at broad daylight, sober, and you can build up this skill, you will never lack women in your life ever again. And there's something just so hot about that, bro. Like, at least for me, like, I really want you to feel this. There's something so hot about being anywhere you go, seeing a hot woman that you're attracted to and actually having the balls, the fucking full fucking balls to just walk up to her whilst every other guy's trying to message her. You're the guy who just jumped in front of the entire line, spoke to her, said to her, come on, let's go do something right now. Let's go get coffee right now. And you look at her with a bit of like masculine guidance, and she's actually feeling like a little bit intimidated, and she says, okay, let's go and get coffee right now. You end up like fucking her in your car or something, and then she's got 20 guys sending her little simp messages. There's something so like primal about just like seeing a girl and just fucking speaking to her instead of this bullshit of like seeing a girl in your gym or in your school and like trying to find her on Instagram or some shit. Like that's such a lame feeling that I remember from being in like school compared to what it feels like now, where I'll just fucking walk up to a girl. And I won't lie to you, you know, sometimes I don't do it because I get scared and everything, but it's actually such an amazing feeling. And if you get good at this skill, you'll never struggle with women again. So here's how to get better at cold approaching. You already know it. Stop being a fucking pussy. You didn't even need my advice for this. Just fucking cold approach thousands of times over the next few years. It's that simple. If you cold approach thousands of times over the next few years, you will get fucking amazing at it. You don't need like more awkward thoughts. You don't need to watch cold approach videos. You're overthinking it. If you just go cold approach thousands of times over the next few years, you will become a fucking cold approach god. It's as simple as that. Now, along with that, as the years go by, if you get more attractive as well, like we talked about the physical attractiveness, if you build up the money so you've got more confidence and you've got more about you, then that'll help as well. But if you just go and do the numbers game, the volume, you will absolutely get more girls. So if you go and do the self-improvement stuff, like, you know, becoming more attractive, building the business and stuff, what that will do is increase the percentage of women who are receptive to you. What I've found with cold approaching, by the way, is that the percentage is really fucking high. So for example, I will meet about 1% of girls that I match with on dating apps. That's the real truth. If I was lying to you, I'd say like, oh yeah, you know, I meet like loads of girls from it. If I get like 100 matches, I'll meet like 15 of them. I'll tell you the truth, right? And this isn't like me saying, oh, I'm being picky. If there's 100 girls that I send a message who I would go and meet on a date, only one of them will actually come out on a date with me. That's like how bad dating apps have gotten. So if you get like 100 matches a day, then it's fine. But if you don't, it's like it can take a while to meet a girl, right? So it's about 1 to 2% hit rate on Tinder. In cold approaching, I promise you, it's more like literally about 25-50%. I'd say like every 2 or 3 girls I cold approach, I end up going on a date with. Let's make it a little bit worse. I'd say about every 5 girls. Every 5 girls you cold approach will end up going on a date with. Now, if you're doing like this, like I'm not going to lie to you, like this kind of cringe, desperate way where you get dressed and you go outside and you're there like being this fucking like this guy who's harassing women on the street to cold approach for a few hours, then your hit rate will be a lot worse because you'll be coming across with that fucking needy energy. Remember what we just spoke about here? Don't be the guy who thinks, okay, I'm going to go out and cold approach. If you ever say that, I'll fucking slap you. I'm going to go out and cold approach means that you're basically going to be a fucking weirdo in public. And it's just strange. You don't go out to cold approach. You go and do your normal life. You go to the gym, you go traveling, you go like, out with your friends to a restaurant and you speak to girls there. So don't even think about it as cold approaching. Think about it as just walking up to girls and speaking to them. I know it sounds like the same thing, but do not ever put on your fucking clothes and go stand in a mall and just go walk up to girls trying to speak to them, because that just feels so cringe and you'll come across with way worse energy, and so therefore you'll have less girls who are into you. The better thing to do is to go and like live a fun, vibrant life. You go into the gym, you go into like the martial arts club, you're walking around your city, you're driving around, you go into restaurants, you're meeting friends and everything. You're just doing fun things, and everywhere you go, you're trying to speak to as many people as possible, and you speak to women as well. So the gym is my favorite place by far because I'm in there every single day, and I go to a very like fancy gym full of really attractive girls, and so I like the girls who are in there because they're very fit girls. They're very, very like beautiful girls in the gym that I go to. I go to like a really expensive, like prestigious kind of like you can't just like walk into my gym. Basically, you have to like buy like a 12-month membership, and it's expensive and everything. And so the gym is my favorite place. And when I see a girl, and I'll still get approach anxiety, but I'll go up to her and I'll just say whatever comes to my mind. Often I just kind of give them a compliment. Honestly, I'll usually say something which I don't lie, so I'll say the truth, which is like if I see the same girl for a few days in a row, I'll literally like shake my hand like this so she sees me. I'll take my earphone off, she'll take her earphone off, and I'll say like, I've seen you in here in the last few days training hard. Respect. What's your name? That's it. Or I'll say something like, oh hi, I don't think I've met you yet. What's your name? So I'm subtly like, I choose my words very carefully, and I'm subtly saying, I'm a social guy who trains here all the time and I know everyone, but I don't think you've met me just yet. So I'm inviting you into meeting the social guy. What's your name? So it's all like, that's the energy I'm portraying, which isn't even like a lie, because that's the reality. Is like, I am a social guy. I do know most of the people who train at the time that I train. So I do that, give her a little compliment, have a little talk, and then the biggest thing is just asking them to do something together right away. Instead of saying like, oh, so it was nice to meet you, can I just get your number? No. The power of cold approach is to not get her number, but it's to walk up and to ask her to do something right away. The question to ask is, what are you doing after this? You're in the gym, you go up to the girl, you say, oh, I see you here all the time. I don't think we spoke yet, have we? My name's Hamza, what's your name? She's like, Sarah. Oh yeah, what are you training today? Oh, you're hitting legs. I saw you do that one exercise. What is that? Reverse lunges. I've never tried that. Was that for quads? Oh yeah, I usually just do squats, but I hurt my knee like 2 weeks ago, so I'm skipping legs for a bit. Just like chatting a little bit. And you say to her like, oh, it was lovely to meet you. What are you doing after this? She's like, oh, I'm I don't know. I've finished work for the day or something. You say, oh, we should go get a coffee after this. Just say that. We should go get a coffee after this. We should go for a walk after this. We should go for a drive after this. And she's like, if she says something like, oh no, I'm not interested, you'd be like, oh, okay, lovely. It was lovely to meet you. Done. If she says, and you'd be surprised of the high percentage of women who'd be like, oh yeah, okay, we could do that. Yeah, let's go. Suddenly you've literally just got on this like impromptu date with this girl. That's the best part of cold approach, is don't go for the number, don't go for the Instagram, go for the instant date. It's so powerful, and honestly, it's hot as fuck as well. So finally, the content funnel is the most effective and efficient way of getting women to come to you. With cold approach, you've got to go towards women. With dating apps, you're going towards women. With the content funnel, you're getting women to come to you. This is where you make content like social media videos, like YouTube videos, like what these guys do, that women watch too. So you make health podcasts, you make like an interesting intellectual podcast, you make videos on how to make money, which, you know, it's kind of for guys, but a lot of women watch that kind of content as well. You show your attractive personality, you talk about your vision for the future, and she'll learn so much about you because she'll watch you for hours and hours and hours. And you funnel people to your Instagram and she'll literally message you first. Like it's simple, but it's hard. Think about what I'm saying here. You start posting to social media, to YouTube, to TikTok, whatever. You build up a following. You then mention your Instagram and you tell them, like, you know, you tell your viewers, message me about what you learned in this video. You might be surprised that, like, you'll get a bunch of messages from guys, but you actually get a bunch of messages from girls as well. And you get messages like, this was the first time a female fan messaged me, or they had messaged me before, but this was the first female fan that I ever, like, actually got with. She messaged me this. And obviously straight away I was thinking, like, okay, that's a bit bait. Like, it's a bit, I'm going to get my kidneys stolen or some shit. But I looked at her profile and I could tell it was a real profile. You can often tell on Instagram if someone's got like a fake profile or not. But I could tell it was known. It was a real girl. Spoke to her a little bit. I think we even had a phone call and I could tell she was actually like genuine. She just liked me because she had watched hours of my videos. And then she literally booked the hotel. She traveled 3 hours to come and see me, because the power of this is that the women who watch your social media content will literally like look into your eyes in the content. They'll hear about you and they'll form a bond with you for hours before you even meet them. So I'll get girls who message me first. I've never spoken to them, and I can actually tell that they've literally got feelings for me already. Because think about it, they've literally watched me talk about for hours. They've heard me talk about my vision. They've heard me talk about my pains, my story. They've heard me, like, you know, open up and express myself. They've heard me make jokes. And now it's like they've already created this bond, this connection by, you know, watching me. The same way that you probably have. If you've watched me, like, you know, for years, you probably have this weird, like, parasocial relationship with me where I probably don't even fucking know you, right? Unless you've come to like one of my meetups. I probably never even met you in person, but you have this weird kind of like friendship, human connection with me. So imagine the same effect that you have like a weird kind of connection with me, even if you've never watched any of my other videos. If you've just watched all of this one so far, like 1 hour and 14, you have some kind of connection. You could probably feel that, right? Now imagine if you're a woman who is also actually attracted to me physically as well. You can imagine that she'd actually be filled with like oxytocin or whatever the love hormones are right now, right? So it's such a powerful way, is that you'll make social media content, which is an amazing business model as well. And you just make it for, you know, teaching whatever you've recently learned. You talk about intellectual things, because that way you'll be attracting women who are into like online education, who are developing knowledge and everything. And so they're often higher quality women. And they'll literally make themselves known to you. Every day when I check my message requests, or I check it like, you know, once a week or once every 2 weeks or something, my message requests on Instagram, I'll literally see multiple messages from girls who have messaged me first. It's not, I won't lie to you, it's almost never like this, where a girl's just randomly being so forward. It's often like a girl just kind of like shooting her shot a little bit in a subtle way, where she's like, oh, you know, I watch your videos and they've helped me, and I know your videos are for guys, but they've really helped me too, and you're kind of cute as well. Like, they'll say something like that, you know, they'll be kind of like, not as forward, but still making themselves known. The power of this is that, one, it's a very powerful business model, so it's just amazing for you to make money, but also that women will do this passively. Like, you don't even need to have a dating apps. You don't need to go out to cold approach. You just work on your business, and then women will find you on Instagram and message you first. So it's a very simple explanation for a very big thing. Like, this will take years to set up, but it's just something to consider, that if you're going to get into some kind of business model and you want one that kind of improves your life in multiple areas, not just with money, then making content which women can watch, which shows your intelligent, intellectual side, it's very powerful, very powerful. The power of this, one more thing, is you'll be attracting good guys as well. You'll be showing your personality, and guys will want to connect with you. And you'll literally get like experts, authors, scientists. You'll get like other guys who are intellectual, who are knowledgeable, message you first. So this is why I think this is my favorite business model by far, is becoming a content creator, but not just like some entertainment influencer or some shit, you know, some girl who's just an influencer but she's just attractive, but basically being an educator who talks to the camera and teaches them things, because you're helping the world to become healthier or more productive or something which is purposeful. But two, you'll get intellectual people who watch that kind of content message you first, and suddenly you've got friends and you've got women coming to you, which is so powerful. This is the most powerful way to get women to come to you. So if you're going to set up some kind of business model, make it this, in my opinion. So we've checked off the second point. So the 3 steps to attracting good women, we've checked off becoming more desirable, finding the women. Now we want to talk about these deeper love compatibility things. So by following these 2 steps, you'll get to the point where women are messaging you first, or where you, for example, are meeting women and actually going on dates. So now you're actually going on dates. If you just follow the first 2 steps here, you're going on dates with girls, you're probably sleeping with girls. Now let's talk about compatibility, because this is something which often is not spoke about in like men's dating spaces. And I really want to be the guy who changes that, because I've went through a lot of heartbreak not knowing this step. I thought that there was basically only 2 steps to dating. It was like, become more attractive, get the women, go on a date, and then try and sleep with them. That's what I thought dating was about. I didn't realize just how important this section was, because everyone on YouTube who talks about, you know, like men's masculinity, dating, red pill, all this stuff, they never really spoke about this section before, and I really want to help you with this. I know what you're thinking. Wait, so I can get pussy with just these 2? Yes, absolutely. But if you want to get the best pussy, if you want to get the girls who you literally like and you love, like if you want to get to that moment where you're literally, let's say you're pounding this girl that you love, that's actually better. So trust me when I say, if you just want to get pussy, you will literally have better sex with a girl that you're actually compatible with, who you actually really like or who you love. Like when you're fucking a girl who you love, you'll literally feel like your heart melt at the same time because you like each other. When you're fucking a girl who you just met, it's like, sometimes it's still really fun, I won't lie to you, but like, it's never as good as being with a girl who you're actually compatible with. And so if you wanted to push for actually meeting girls you're compatible with, I really want to teach you some things that I've learned, especially recently as well. There's 4 things. There's vulnerability and authenticity. That's, we're going to say it's the same section. There's attachment styles. There's a mindset, which is judges you on the same metrics you judge yourself. And there's another mindset, your type isn't actually your type. So there's 4 things and we'll go through them all. So vulnerability and authenticity. Just imagine this, right? Imagine you pretend to be someone you're not. And imagine if the girl you like isn't into you because she was actually compatible with the real you, but you were afraid to be yourself. Let that sit for just a second and really think about that. Imagine you meet a girl who would have liked you, but you acted different because you were trying to act more like, more cool, whatever. And now she's not into you because she was compatible with that other version of you. That would be really sad, wouldn't it? So we need to find the fine line of trying to stay authentic and vulnerable so we can create a real connection with this girl, but whilst also, you know, not being a chump, because you know that, like, basically vulnerability and authenticity would be the advice of like, just be yourself. But truthfully, if you just be yourself, you've probably tried that and it's like you're not attracting girls, right? Because just be yourself works when you're already 6'1", Chad, attractive, confident, sexy, you know how to speak to girls. Then it's like, yeah, just be yourself. Just be yourself, no offense to you, probably isn't a good thing. So I'd say for the earlier days, don't be yourself. Step into the next version of you, which is the more confident, loud version of you, the guy who's like way more powerful, you know, like how you've wanted to be. Don't be yourself, like the child boy version of you that you don't even like, that doesn't even get girls. Be more of the upgraded version of you. That's like, I'd say, way more powerful. Because being yourself is not getting complacent or getting depolarized or treating her like a roommate. So I've spoke before about, you know, looking attractive and staying on your sort of tip-top shape when you're with a girl, right? So I recently went through a breakup like a few months ago. I was with a like wonderful girl for like a year and a half. And truthfully, like, I didn't explain well in the video why we broke up. I can explain more right now. And I know that, you know, we're an hour into this video, so not as many people will be watching now. So it's kind of the opportunity's lost. We broke up because both of us were fairly miserable, and we realized we weren't even really compatible or happy with each other. And we tried it. We moved to different places. Both of us had a lot of admiration for each other. We both felt like the other person would have been the perfect person to have children with, but not to actually marry. Does that make sense? So like, I thought she would have been an amazing mother for my children because she's so healthy. She would never once like traumatize my children. She would never once give them unhealthy food. She's the healthiest woman I ever met. And so that's what I admired about her. But me and like her, we weren't actually like happy together. Like for most of the time, like we were often miserable. For the year and a half we were together, for over half of it, we weren't happy, but we had this thought that like each other would have been really, really good for the children. And she thought the same thing about me. She thought that I would have been a fantastic father, but that like, and you know, she thought that I was a good partner. I thought she was as well, but we just weren't very happy together. We tried so many different things. We tried like fighting for it just because we thought like it'd be so awesome to have children together. But if you can't have like a good relationship, then, you know, having children in that relationship is probably not going to be a good thing anyway. We just weren't very compatible with each other in a deep, serious relationship. What not many people know is like we broke up and got together like 3-4 something times, which I never really spoke about on YouTube. So the compatibility just wasn't really there. And there's nothing like disrespectful to say. I still think she's a wonderful woman. I think she still thinks that I'm an amazing guy as well. We treated each other with a lot of like respect and love and everything. And we had some, you know, amazing times, right? I didn't explain all this because I didn't, in a previous video, I spoke about the breakup because I didn't want to like get into more, I didn't want to be a fucking, you know, influencer who talks about his fucking, oh, we just broke up, guys, give me views kind of shit. So I kind of like brushed it over, and I think the way I spoke about it made it seem kind of more shallow than it actually was, where we literally spoke about it for months. We literally had months of like trial periods where we lived in different locations, where we tried different things, and we just weren't able to have like this like happy relationship together. It's just how it sometimes it is with people. Yeah, so that's why we broke up. And so inside of the video, I mentioned one of the things I did bad in the previous relationship was that I got complacent and I wasn't treating her the same romantic way that I used to. The words that I used was, in like the first dates that me and her went on, I acted almost like James Bond. Like I was just like a character that I was, you know, trying to make you visualize of, imagine like me in like this really like sexy way where I'm staring into her eyes and I'm being deep and I'm being sexy and everything, and I'm making her feel like this gorgeous woman. And I changed from that to like me just being sat next to her like I would with my friends, where I'm just kind of like laughing about shit. And that's fine, you know, that's kind of cute and stuff. But I said that, and I said that's one of the reasons why I think our relationship went downhill, was because I started to treat her like a roommate and not like a goddess. I started to treat her like a friend and not like a lover. And that's one of the reasons why I think the relationships broke down. Being yourself, like, you know, they said, I just want to be myself. Being yourself is not getting complacent or getting depolarized and treating her like a roommate. This is what like being yourself is not. I started to be myself. So this is how I looked when she met me, right? This is how I looked. Like, look at me. I look fucking sexy, really nice physique, really attractive. This is how I looked when 6 months later, where I literally like went down like a few points of attractiveness because I started to be myself. And, you know, I had this mindset of like, oh, well, I've already got her, right? I just want to be myself. If I just want to gain a bit of fat, I don't want to train as much because I just want to be myself. Being yourself is not an excuse of getting complacent. When you meet your girl, you should be working so fucking hard. You should still be like flirting with her. You should still be like being sexually polarized with her. You should still speak to her like a romantic partner, like a lover. Say that the camera's off and I might pick my nose, and that's fine, right? Because I'm just sat by myself, no one can see, right? Now, should I pick my nose next to my girl? Most people will be like, yes, because, you know, you're just being yourself and it's just your partner. But if you want your girl to stay wet for you, you don't do that shit. So you can listen to whoever's advice you want. If you want your girl to stay wet for you, you listen to my advice. If you want your girl to dry up, but to have like this goofy, funny vibe with you where she picks her nose next to you, then you can go and pick like someone else's advice. But like, if you want a better love life, trust me, don't make the mistakes that I did, which is that I started to treat her like a male roommate, where I wasn't afraid to like fart next to her. I wasn't afraid to pick my nose next to her. So many like honestly weirdos on the internet will actually say that that's better because you may as well get comfortable sexual with her. It's like, that's not what you're supposed to go for in a romantic relationship. You're supposed to stay as sexy lovers. That's the point. When you lose the polarity, when you lose that sexual zest for each other that most people do, the whole relationship starts crumbling. I want to ask you right now, do you want to be in a dead bedroom marriage? Like, ask yourself this and be honest. Do you want to be in the kind of marriage where you have a shit sex life? Yes or no? Fuck no, right? Do you want to be in the kind of marriage where you're 60 years old and you're still fucking pounding her? Fuck yes, right? You want her to still be wet for you 20, 30 years from now. Well, then you're going to have to not follow the advice of the normies who tell you, like, just be yourself next to her. You're going to have to get out of the room, go to the toilet and fart in there instead, because you're just keeping some level of fucking decency and effort and, like, presentation. Is it authentic? If I spill my drink right now on my shirt, it's still authentic if I walk outside of the house, right? Like, no, you fucking present yourself in a nice way. You put in effort when you're next to people that you care about. Would you want your girl, after a year of dating, to not wear makeup around you, to not wear makeup like when you guys go out to, like, restaurants because it's just authentic? Fuck no, you'd want her to put in effort. Likewise, would you want her to stop going to the gym after a few years because she's just gonna be herself? Fuck no, you'd want her to put in effort. So we need to be doing the same thing as men. Someone needs to say to young men, when you get into a relationship, that is not the time to get complacent and to think, oh, I've already got her, so I can just relax. That's when you should be going harder, because it's harder to maintain a good relationship than it is to be single and go and attract a new girl. It's so much harder. Don't listen to any of these kids online who'll tell you, like, oh, just be yourself, bro. Like, I just want to, relax with my girl. You should see your woman as almost like the training ground for you to become the best version of you. That's what I think guys like us, if you're watching this video, will prosper on. You want the kind of woman that when she comes into your life, you get better in all areas because you feel almost like I don't know, a level of, like, excitement or even intimidation that you've got to be on your best performance. If you want to have a vibrant sex life, you can't get complacent with her. If you want to have a vibrant sex life, you can't, like, stop treating her the same sexy way that you used to on your first dates. Like, if you go on a first date with a girl, you're there, like, speaking in, like, your sexier voice. You're there, like, staring into her eyes, putting in the effort. You're acting a little bit mysterious. You're flirting with her. You're teasing her. You're like, you're still thinking about Kino, where you escalate a little bit. You're doing those things. You're not treating her like a roommate that you've already secured. You never treat your woman like that, because then she'll treat you like a roommate as well. And so many guys will say, like, oh, but I'd love that. I'd love if she never wore makeup again. I'd love if this, but I think that's the insecure thing of, like, oh, I just want, like, complacency because there's less need for me to perform as well. If you want your woman to still be putting in effort 10 years from now, then you need to be doing the same things. If you want her to be sexy, feminine, if you want her to be, like, to be wearing makeup and still going to the gym and, being sexy and flirting with you. If you want to come home randomly and your girl's wearing, like, lingerie and sexy clothes and she's got outfits for you, then you need to be polarizing her as well. Don't lose that shit that I did. Don't fucking gain, like, fat because now you're in a relationship and you can relax like these motherfuckers try to criticize me for. You can choose whose advice you want to take, but if you want to have, like, a fucking, like, a sexual relationship with your woman for decades, you need to be staying like this version of me here. You can't go with this transition. So many guys want to be able to, like, downgrade once they get into a relationship, and it's not even fair on the fucking girl. So this was, like, one of the reasons why I wanted to personally split up, because I wasn't, like, growing in the relationship. I was getting worse and worse. I was getting less attractive. I wasn't, like, my business was growing, but that was the only thing. But that was because I was working on it super fucking hard. But I wasn't, like, getting fitter in the relationship. She wasn't either. So we weren't even, like, growing well together. Whereas you can get into a relationship where both of you grow more, because, there's just certain, like, compatibility, connection, whatever, which causes two people to grow, which causes two other people to not grow. And so me and my previous woman, unfortunately, we were the kind of couple who, like, once we got together, we would both actually get complacent. We tried so much. Obviously, like, we're not lazy people, but we tried so much. We moved to different places, tried all the self-improvement strategies, but me and her would only actually prosper when we weren't together. That's the truth. That's, like, the sad truth that, like, I should have explained fully in a previous video. But, like, if you are interested, me and her grow so much more when we're not together. Since we split up, I moved back home to my parents' home 3 months ago, and I've had the biggest growth period for the last, like, 1.5 years, even whilst I was with her. So And I think she has as well. I've not spoken to her, but I think she has as well. And yesterday I ended up scrolling up my photo album. I needed to get like a picture for like a video. And I saw a picture of I saw a picture where she looked happier before we were even closer. So that's the kind of sad, but I think it's a good reason for why we split up. And I would give you the same thing, like whilst we're talking about like compatibility. You both should be happier and better people and making more progress to your goals together. That's really the best sign of compatibility, is like you're actually really happy together. I wasn't. So let's talk about attachment styles. There's three major attachment. There's four, but I just like to talk about the three. Basically, attachment styles are kind of like your dating personality, kind of like your dating skill set, and it's formed when you're a child. And it's like a whole psychological thing. I've made even a 1.5 hour guide on this that you could probably go search up, just called like Hamza attachment styles. But I'll go through them briefly. About 50% of people are secure, which means that they had like very loving, stable households when they were growing up. And they're basically healthy people. They get into a relationship when they're like 16 or 18 years old, and they often just get married to the first person that they get with. They communicate really well. They don't really get anxious that much. They regulate their emotions, and they bond, and they form like a secure, healthy relationship forever. And often what's interesting is these people, since they're secure, since they're good at dating, they basically usually aren't in the dating market because they're often in a relationship. So does that make sense? Think about it. When you're single and you're looking for women to be attracted to, whether on dating apps or cold approach, whatever, if there's women who are single, they're more likely to be anxious or avoidant. Like, you've got to think, there's a reason why most people are single. Because if you were raised in a healthy way, you'd have the secure attachment style and you would actually get into a relationship. So this is like a brutal reality for all the single people. Honestly, this is going to sound fucking brutal, but it's the truth. And I know people will disagree with this. But if you're single, there's something kind of wrong with you. And I know that sounds horrible to say, but it is the truth. Because if you're single, you're most likely going to be anxious or avoidant. There's not that many secure people who are single who had healthy childhood experiences with their parents. Because if you were in this healthy childhood experience with your parents, healthy love, no trauma, you've got a secure attachment style, you'll often meet someone and literally like have such a great relationship that you'll stay together. Like, secure people stay in a relationship for most of their time, and they're often never single because they're often not single for a long time. So if you're a secure person, you were raised by your parents, for example, in like a really stable, healthy household. There was no shouting, screaming, trauma. Your parents loved you in a very consistent way. You know, like, you can imagine the kind of family that was. If you were in that family, you're going to get into like serious long-term relationships, have amazing times. And even if you do still break up, that secure person who had that kind of experience will often not be single for so long because of how high quality they are and how loving they are and, you know, how secure and healthy they are. They're often get into another relationship fairly quick and then stay in that relationship long-term. What does this actually mean? Because it sounds brutal, it sounds really insulting, but I'm kind of talking about myself as well. Basically, if you're single and you're meeting other single people, most of the time they're going to be either anxious or avoidant, because if they were secure people, they'd probably be in a relationship already. Now, you might just happen to meet someone who is secure, who was just in a relationship but hasn't gotten into another one just yet, and, you know, you've just met them at the right time, or you've met them just before they were about to like get into a relationship or something. But like, in general, if you're single and you're meeting other single people, especially on dating apps, even cold approach, whatever, most likely the other people are going to be anxious or avoidant. Now, does that mean that if you're single and you're meeting other single people, they're going to be low quality people? It can do. Here's the interesting part. This is why I think the content funnel that we spoke about here is so important, because if you're single and you want to meet other single people, the chances are that they're not going to be secure, because if they were secure, they'd be in a long-term relationship. So the chances are they're going to be anxious or avoidant. And these are kind of like dating personalities that aren't as healthy. If you use the content funnel that we spoke about and you talk about these things, and you have the kind of audience who knows about attachment styles, who are healing from it, who are doing the work, you might end up attracting the kind of women who are anxious or avoidant, but they're moving into acting more secure. Because that's not the best case scenario. Best case scenario is like, you know, you meet a secure person and you are a secure person. But the second to best case scenario is that you'll meet someone, like, you might be anxious or you might be avoidant, you meet someone else who is in these categories, but both of you are actually learning what it takes to have a secure, healthy relationship, right? I hope this all makes sense. So anxious is where, for example, your parents scared you and they gave you a lot of fear, they traumatized you, they hurt you, they screamed at you. You can imagine, like, you know, your mother, you cry as a baby and your mother shouts at you backwards for crying. You're a little child and your parents slap you to try and discipline you, and suddenly it's like you have this weird urge to connect, but also this fear that the person you connect with will hurt you. Think about that. Think about how fucking heartbreaking that is. We have this human, like this just animal need to connect to people that we love, but when you had parents who kind of like slapped you and hurt you and screamed at you, you also have this constant fear that this person who you love will suddenly shout at you again, will suddenly hurt you. And so when you have these childhood experiences, it often really does come out in your adult experiences. There's some people who disagree with that, but at least for me personally, and maybe for you, I really see it clearly. So I can see how my childhood experiences with my family really come out with my experiences in adulthood, in relationships. So I'm off the anxious type. And avoidance is kind of like when you were a child, but your parents were distant, maybe because they were working all the time, maybe because they followed like bullshit advice where, you know, like 1 or 2 decades ago, about the time that we were children, there was like this trend where parents were told to let their children cry out because it'd probably be healthier for them. But it was actually completely wrong. And so millions of parents followed like this parenting advice where basically they were told to like not come and comfort you when you cried. And so often if your parents were like that, or if they worked all the time, if they were kind of distant, they were kind of cold people, then you might be avoidance where you have like difficulty expressing emotions, you withdraw, and you often like will run away when there's someone who wants to love you. So if you're either of these, it makes it harder to have a healthy relationship. And this is the stuff that I find so interesting, by the way, because a lot of the dating advice for men just focuses on, like, you know, the attraction stage, being more attractive, making money. But you can imagine, like, these are very subtle things in terms of being able to, like, you know, actually have a good relationship with a woman. But you can imagine that they're actually so important. Like, imagine if you never knew that you even get anxious in relationships and you just kind of like acted the way that you felt, and you've been leaving behind so many traumatic relationships and everything. And so this is very, very insightful stuff. It was for me to realize that I'm off the anxious attachment style. And so the way to navigate this is to just basically practice being more secure. Is to just act as if you are a secure, healthy person who is able to, for example, like, speak to your partner and say to them, like, hey, can I be honest? Like, when you said that thing, it kind of hurt me. It made me feel anxious. That's what a secure person would do. They'd say to their partner, like, I really didn't like the way you said that thing before. And their partner would say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to have that effect on you. And they'll connect and they'll move on. When you're anxious, let's say you're dating someone and you get a sting, like a shock of anxiety because of something they've said, often you won't say anything to them. You'll just be anxious inside. And then literally you'll go home that day and you'll literally be thinking to yourself, like, yeah, fuck them. Like, I'm going to leave them anyway. Like, they don't even deserve me. I can get better than them anyway. Like, I'll leave them. And you have this almost hatred towards them that spirals and spirals. They message you, you kind of reply back to them and stuff, but you're still like in this weirdly, you know, emotional energy where you dislike them and you kind of forget what they even did, but you've just got this hate for them building up. They might eventually send you like a long paragraph saying, you know, that they love you so much, and you feel a little bit regulated. But if they don't, you'd be like likely to like cheat that day. You'd be likely to try and like get back at them without even kind of remembering what they even did, because you didn't have the ability to communicate with them because you just, you know, are used to this. But let's say if they do act nice to you randomly, like let's say they don't even know what they did, by the way, but they randomly send you like a nice good night message, or you have a call and they're being really cute to you, suddenly you'll run back to them with aggression and you'll be like, oh yeah, they are amazing and I love them so much and stuff. You can imagine that's exactly what like you would have felt as a child with abusive parents who, you know, were used to like slap you or hurt you or shout at you. It's this thing of like your parent, your caregiver hurts you and you're like, oh yeah, get away from them. You know, they're so scary. They're going to hurt me. And then the heartfelt connection is still there. And when your parents finally, after a few hours of like shouting at you and, you know, they're stressed about bills or some shit, they pick you up and they're feeding you as like a baby. You as a little baby would have been like, oh yeah, like my parents, I love them. And that's how you'll act as an adult. And you might like be fucking like your jaw might have dropped by like how much you relate to this. Cause as I say this now, that's exactly experiences that I've had. And, yeah. Just very recently I had a secure experience where I was sat with a girl and she said something that made me anxious. And I won't lie to you, I didn't have like the skill or, the confidence to be able to bring it up straight away. But she actually, like, she's a really smart girl, and she was able to like pick up on the fact that something wasn't right. So we were sat there, she said something, right? And then she looked at me and she went, "Oh, are you okay?" And she did that. Like, she put her hand like this because she could see that I was thinking about something. And usually I would lie at this situation and I'd say like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm just tired or something." And, like, I'd be anxious about what she said. But I told her the truth and I said like, I don't like that you said that thing. It made me feel anxious. And I saw her face drop and she was like, "Oh, that wasn't my intention. I'm sorry." And she apologized like 4 times straight afterwards. And she, proper like was being close and loving. And as soon as she apologized, that like, I was trying to act more secure as well. So I was like, okay, like, apology accepted, it's fine. And she still kept on apologizing, and she was saying that she'll aim to not do that again. And I looked to her afterwards, I was like, we just dealt with conflict in like such a healthy way that I'm not used to, that she's not used to either. And so I just found that as like a win that I think now that we've got to this page, you'd probably be able to understand like how big that really is. Yeah. So that was a win from me. And that's basically what you do, is you just act more secure. However you think like a secure, healthy person who's, got a bit of confidence, who had like a loving family, how they would act in a certain situation where they'd bring it up to their partner and say like, "Oh, can I be honest? Like, I was really hurt when you said this thing. Can I be honest? I feel really anxious. Like, when you do this, I feel anxious that like, I get this thought that you could be cheating on me." And I'm not trying to accuse you of cheating, but like, that's the thought I get. And the secure partner would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for making you feel that way." You basically just pretend to just be more secure. Like, you just copy what a secure person would do, even if your emotions aren't there. So in that situation, when I was with this girl recently, my emotion wasn't there. I was still anxious. I knew that my tendency was to like not admit that something was up, and that I'd go home and basically like shit talk her in my own brain. So my emotion wasn't there, but I just basically like commanded my brain and my mouth to just say what I was feeling. And I said it in a way that wasn't insulting. You always, when you're trying to act more secure, and let's say you're anxious or avoidant, and you're feeling like a certain negativity towards the relationship, you always bring it up and communicate it to your partner, but without it sounding like an insult. You don't say like, "Oh, you just made me feel bad" or something. You say, "I feel anxious because of the thing you just said, and I know you didn't mean to make me feel that way." And like, you say it in like this sort of way that makes it easier for them to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to have that impact on you." And usually that will kind of make you feel better, because you'll think and you'll be able to relate and be like, "Oh yeah, like, sometimes I say shit which hurts her, and I didn't even mean to as well." So the tip that I'd want to give you here is date someone who puts in effort to make you feel secure. If there's one tip I could give you with relationships, date someone who puts in the effort to make you feel secure. If you meet people and you date someone who doesn't put in the effort to make you feel secure, in fact, if you meet someone who puts in the effort to make you feel anxious, that's not the kind of life you want to have, right? Like, there's girls who will literally play games to make you feel more anxious, and they're almost like brain dead that they don't understand that they're doing this. And to be honest, for a long time I did this as well. I would play games to make girls feel more anxious, because it kind of like hooked them more in like this power dynamic and shit. And if you're just trying to have sex with a girl, like, I understand why you do that. But if you want to have like a good relationship where, you're actually like a partnership, you're not trying to like get something out of them, you actually like this girl and you want her to prosper, try your best to like make her feel secure. Communicate how you feel. Tell her all the time how you feel about her. Compliment her all the time. And be with someone, like, I really think you deserve to be with someone who does the same effort for you. And so if you find yourself like constantly anxious or constantly, not wanting to spend time with someone, it could be because you guys are just not very compatible. If you find yourself like, you relate to at least what I'm saying here with the anxiousness, and you end up getting into a relationship with someone who actually puts in the effort to make you feel secure, that's a very awesome person to be with, and you might want to actually take that relationship seriously. So being able to communicate, or being compatible in the way you communicate, is so important. So for example, you want to be able to communicate just means like talk about stuff. You want to be able to talk about like sometimes the anxiousness that you get in a relationship. You want to be able to talk about sometimes some of the negative things, but in a way that doesn't insult them, and they want to be able to do it in a way that doesn't insult you. And if you guys can have the compatibility there, you might just find that you can have like a truly beautiful relationship, because there's women out there who you could literally tell that you feel anxious and they'll put in the effort to make you feel more secure, which is a very healing experience. This is, in my opinion, the stuff that makes serious relationships worth it, because this is how you grow. Like, I really want you to think about this. You know, we spoke about something deep right now. We're talking about the childhood traumas that we went through and the way that that comes out in our dating personality when we're adults. Imagine being with someone who actually makes you feel more secure. They're basically reversing or healing your childhood trauma. You know, it's so easy for us to talk about, like, yeah, you know, make money and you'll be able to get girls, and make muscle. Those are like the easy things to talk about. It's like real world stuff. I really hope you're grasping this. There's such like inner work that needs to be done for you to have like a really good relationship with someone else, because there's so much history and trauma that we all carry inside of us that comes out in our relationships, where we're anxious, we're randomly like mean to our partners. You might just catch yourself randomly in like a mean mode to your partner, where you literally wanted them to feel bad. And think about how toxic and how hateful that is. And it's not because you genuinely sat there logically wishing ill to your partner, but it's because you were hurt as a child, and it randomly shows up 20 years later in you, like, you know, not responding to your partner's text message fast enough. Think about like how much of your relationships are influenced by the impact of the childhood experiences that you had, and how sad that is, and how valuable it would be to have an awesome relationship with someone who makes you feel secure, and they're literally reversing that pain, that, you know, the inner child inside of you. Like, if just do this, like, picture like little you, like, you can probably remember, like, you know, you've seen a picture of you when you were like a little boy, like you're 5 years old. That's the part of you that could be constantly like anxious or avoidant, who craves love but is unable to show it because of the experiences that you had as a child. And there's a woman out there who can basically like heal that version of you and help integrate that little boy into you properly. And there's also a woman out there who has that little girl inside of her that you're going to think is so beautiful, so sweet, and you're going to help that little girl inside of her feel loved, because, you know, there's women who went through the same childhood wounds that we have. And I just think that this is the best part of a relationship, is like, you guys, you know, you always hear like relationships you can grow together. And again, a lot of that's with like the real world stuff of like, oh yeah, you both can make money and muscle and stuff. And that stuff's really cool, fine. But this is where I think a lot of the real growth comes in with a relationship. And I think this is where the value of a relationship is, with a lot of this kind of like co-regulation. I think that's just, it's really beautiful. There's another part of attachment styles as well, which is Dr. John Gottman's work. So this was actually like a groundbreaking study. Basically, the conclusion I'll tell you first was, there's such a thing called bids for connection, and partners that respond to this actually have the highest chance of staying together. The partners that are bad at this have the lowest chance of staying together. It's actually like such groundbreaking research, because it's such a great analysis of why partners like stay together or break up. Basically, it's all about bids for connection. A bid for connection is when either partner wants the other partner's connection and attention. So a bid for connection is like these ones here, which is like them asking a question, them like asking for like, you know, or like giving you a request, them asking, let's do something, you know, they're asking for a bit of validation. You can just read these examples, right? It's basically, as the words say, it's such a good phrase as well, isn't it? It's a bid for connection. How well both partners respond to their bids for connection literally is completely linear to how long they'll stay together and how happy they'll be. So you might not like it. This is what's so interesting. You know, again, all the red pill, like alpha male masculine advice in terms of dating is all about like, yeah, be a high value man and protect and provide and stuff. And that stuff's really important. It's nice. But if you want to actually have a good relationship, most of the guys you see online with this sort of like, yeah, be an alpha male and, you know, be a masculine man and protect and provide and be attractive and build muscle and be confident. This is actually the stuff that will get you a good relationship. And it's so simple. It's like, when your girl wants your connection, give it to her. When you want connection with her, hopefully she gives it to you as well. And so how often you guys react to that and respond positively is completely like correlative to how long and how happy you guys will be together for. So the advice with this in terms of bids for connection is you need to be quite present and aware of what's happening in the relationship, because a lot of this stuff, you might not even be aware that it's kind of happening. You might go, imagine like right now we're talking about it, but imagine like a year from now, you're in a relationship, you're busy, you became a YouTuber and some motherfucker's leaving hate comments or something. You walk in and it's like your girl says something, but sorry, talking for 2 hours straight gets my throat so dry. Your girl says something that you kind of hear, but it's kind of like you didn't listen to it, where she says something like, oh, how do I look? And you barely even respond to it because you're in your own mind. That's where like the death of a relationship first starts. And so if you want to have like a really good relationship, you actually focus on things like these. Like to attract the woman, yeah, you need the muscle, you need the confidence, fine. But when you're in a relationship, it's stuff like this. Can you respond to her bid for connection? Like when she says like, look what I got. Can you show it a little bit of interest, even if you don't really give a fuck? Can you show an interest? Because it's not about what she got. It's not about when she's saying like, these things. It's that she's literally actually saying, like, the little girl inside of her is saying like, look at me and please give me attention and please show me that you love me. And if you show her that, it's like you guys will almost escalate to the next level of your relationship together. And some couples are at such a low level. And this is the hard part with our community here. Like if you're watching this, you watch very similar videos that I did. I believe that most of the male masculine influencers, the sort of traditional masculinity guys, I personally think that most of them are going to be really bad at this. And so just be careful taking advice from guys who have the sort of traditional masculinity thing of like, yeah, make money and provide for your woman and be traditional and be masculine. Because this is the kind of stuff that actually keeps a relationship going way happier. Being the husband or the father who just sends money to the family, it's like, congratulations, you're a fucking mule and you're more than that. What your woman wants, like a good woman wants this stuff. She just wants your connection. She just wants your time. She doesn't even give a fuck about your money, honestly. Like you'll find like good women, that whether they're broke or rich, they don't even really think about your money. They don't think about your status. They like I've got like girls, for example, like sometimes I wear the Rolex, right? This is a $10,000 watch. Sometimes I wear this little Casio. The best women I've met prefer me in the Casio. It's very interesting. Not because they're personally trying to be humble, but just because like gold looks better on me personally. And it's like they won't even say anything about the Rolex. It's so interesting, isn't it? And it's like, it's just an example to show you like the best women will literally look at you, not because you're wearing fancy clothes, but they'll be like, oh, that color looks really good on your skin. And they'll, in their eyes, what they're actually seeing is like, they like your skin. That's what they're looking at. The best women, they don't want like your money. They don't want your clout or anything. They just want you to look at them and to give them a bit of attention because they love you as a person raw, without the clothes, without the designer clothes, without the subscribers, without the money. They just want you as that human being right there. And that's the kind of best relationship, in my opinion, you could probably get into. And so just maybe take a screenshot of this or just like, kind of write this down and remind yourself, like when you get into a serious relationship, this is the kind of thing that you want to be focusing on. So another part of compatibility is that you judge yourself, or that she judges you, on the same or similar metrics that you judge yourself on. So for example, what do you judge yourself on? You judge yourself on how hard you work, the results you get in business, how hard you've worked in the gym and how good your physique looks and how kind you've been and how many minutes you've meditated. These are the things that you judge yourself on. It would be awesome to be with a partner who judges you on the same metrics, because you don't want to get with a girl who judges you on different metrics than you judge yourself, right? So imagine, for example, you get with a girl who doesn't judge you, like who doesn't like care about your hard work at all. And she only wants you to like, just a stupid example, but she only wants you to like spend time in doing the T-pose. So it's stupid as fuck, but you just to give it a real example, like a weird example. It's like, if that wasn't your idea of success, then you guys are going to be incompatible. And now I know it sounds stupid, the example I've gave, like, okay, she's going to spend time analyzing your fucking T-pose or some shit, right? But this is what a lot of relationships are like, where one partner has a certain like goal set that he's going after. So he's going after more money, more status, physique, whatever. But his girl judges him based on like the time that he spends watching Netflix with her. And that's not probably a good, healthy relationship, right? You want your woman, because judgment is normal. It's completely normal. You want your woman to judge you based on the same things that you judge yourself on. And you want to judge your woman based on the same things that she judges herself on. If she, for example, like, you know, her vision is that she just wants to spend as much time with you as possible and to watch Netflix together, but that would make you judge yourself poorly. That would probably be an incompatible relationship. Whereas if you judge yourself like living on a high performance lifestyle, success and self-improvement, you would probably want that as well. You wouldn't want to be with a woman who doesn't want to, like, you know, you to push hard in those things, right? You wouldn't want to be with a woman who values things like in you, who wants you to have like a really balanced life. If, for example, you want to be a pro athlete, because there'd always be that friction rubbing together. You'd want to be with a woman who literally like thinks that you working hard to become a pro athlete is the hottest thing ever, and she loves how much you train. And you'd want to be with the kind of woman who, instead of her telling you like, oh, you should train less, she'll literally come into like your MMA gym and just stand there and watch you. Imagine that as a fucking relationship right there. That's the kind of like dynamic. You can imagine that, right? There's one woman who says to her boyfriend or her husband, like, oh, you know, why do you train so much? You should be at home with me. And another woman will literally just go like watch her husband for 4 hours a day. She'll just go stand in the cold gym, smiling and watching him. That's the kind of relationship that you'd want, isn't it? So you want to find someone who judges you on the same metrics. And the final point is, this is something I just learned recently, which I actually thought was such a good quote. Your type isn't actually your type. So this is for the guys who have been in multiple relationships already. If you've dated the same kind of girls, but you haven't really committed or gotten married or, you know, gotten super serious with them, had children or something, you might not have the actual type that you think. Like, this is such a phrase that's so powerful. You might have a type that you want to like, but you kind of don't. So most guys probably wouldn't understand this, but this is for the guys who've been in multiple relationships. And even for the guys who, like, if you're good at projecting into the future, really think about this. You might think that you have a type of girl that you like, but that might actually be the kind of girl that you want to like because of what you've seen on social media. And you might not actually like that dynamic. So as of right now, I'll open up and tell you mine. I thought that I wanted like this ultra feminine woman who basically was doing like nothing with her life other than just kind of serving me, because that's what like the traditional masculinity kind of vibe was. I was in that space myself on YouTube. I was watching those kinds of content creators about this thing of like men are meant to protect and provide and women are meant to like mother the children and just kind of stay at home. I thought that's what I wanted, but I've dated multiple girls who were just like that, who committed their lives to me. And I actually like wasn't that happy. And it made me realize, once I heard this quote here, I was like, I think I've wanted to like that. I think I've wanted to like the kind of woman who would just completely and utterly dedicate her life to me and have no life outside of me. I think I wanted to like that girl, but I haven't. I've had multiple girls like that, and I haven't really liked that dynamic. So it's interesting because I've made 1,000 videos on like masculinity and you know, being traditional, being a strong man and being with a feminine girl. And it's kind of interesting that like I've never really been happy in a relationship like that. So I'm thinking that maybe I might even be happier in a relationship with a girl has got like a lot of her own personal life that she spends time on. And I'm an important part of her life, but not the only thing. For so long, I thought that I wanted a girl who basically did nothing else other than just like think about me. And yeah, so this was a realization for me as well. You might think you have a type, but you might just want to like that kind of girl, and you might not actually be happy with that kind of girl. And so it comes back to authenticity of like really figuring out what you want and not just what like society and social media tells you is attractive. So we've covered everything that I've promised to you. We had 3 steps to attracting good women in your 20s. We covered becoming more desirable, finding women, compatibility. I made the promise that would cover those 3, and I've delivered on that. And quick extra plug for the same thing. The top link in the description right now is the seduction program. If you've watched this far, far, I think you'll really fucking like the program. Just go click on the link and just go see the details. You don't have to buy it, but I think if you just go and look at the details, you might want to invest into this because you already are a fantastic student if you've watched this 2-hour presentation. And I think you'll really fucking like the program that I've got, the community. I think you'll really like it. It's the top link in the description. Just go click that right now and do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.